Part 108. Become a disciple of Taoist priest Four Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 1084. Since he is a descendant of Pangu, he can naturally contribute to the Dushan gods and demons formation. Therefore, Styx became the 18th Dushan god and demon. I took a step forward and arrived at one of the many collection halls in Kongshanju. Here, a corpse of a demon god billions of feet tall, with 12 heads and 24 arms, a snake head and a human body, and a body covered in black scales was lying on the ground. It was Ming Kang's Chaos Dharma body that was killed by Su Junming earlier. Over the years, as Su Junming progressed in the way of time, he had already used the method of returning to his origins to restore his physical body to its peak. Now it can finally be used. Displaying the newly practiced Styx divine flag, he swallowed Ming Kang's corpse on the ground with his powerful swallowing power. With the perfect cultivation of Ming Kang corpse Hunyuan Xianxian, plus the Styx itself, although it was born late, it is not inferior to the other 17-faced divine flags. With a wave of his hand, the Styx divine flag was taken away by the space gourd. In the huge gourd space, 17 gods and demons worth hundreds of millions of feet surrounded a huge sea of blood, swallowing and refining. Every time a bit of blood sea water is refined, the aura of the gods and demons becomes stronger. Soon the Stygian banner also joined them. The 18-sided banners of gods and demons have a mighty aura that covers hundreds of millions of miles. Su Junming saw it in his eyes, filled with a deep sense of satisfaction. The formation formed by the 18-sided demon flags of gods and demons is more powerful. It will definitely be much easier if you hit it accurately. However, if you use the power of heaven and earth, will you be able to compete with Hung Jun? After thinking for a moment, he shook his head slightly. Unless he was absolutely sure, he would not rush to seek Hung Jun's bad luck. Moreover, it is not certain whether the jade plate of creation is the treasure you are looking for, so there is no need to ask for trouble. Returning to the backyard of Chongshan residence, he looked at Taoist Tiangong, who was still playing with the 12-grade blood lotus, and said in surprise, "Why haven't you left yet?" He put away the blood lotus and turned his head to look. "There's a question I've been curious about." "What is the problem?" "Why would Nuwo help you? But you too?" Seeing the teasing smile on Taoist Tiangong's face, Su Junming still didn't understand what he was thinking. "Go away, no matter how charming I am, I can't make a saint fall in love with me in just a few years. Perhaps there has been a connection between you two." Su Junming rolled his eyes. "I'm free." "Then why would she help you for no reason?" Su Junming pondered for a moment and shook his head. "Maybe she's in a good mood." He really couldn't think of a reason for Nuwa to take action. He had to know that 3 UN meetings ago, the two of them had a fight, and he almost killed her. With such hatred, she even helped him. Su Junming couldn't think of any reason even after searching his guts. "Forget it, let her do it. But if I find an opportunity in the future, I have to return this favor. My dear, this is a rare opportunity. If you capture Nuwa and practice dual cultivation with her, you will not only shorten the time to advance to Hunyuan Golden Immortal by 1/3, but you will also get a saint-level helper. It seems that 100 furnaces of Hunyuanation Huangdan is still too little for you. Okay, forget I didn't say anything. Let's go now." Tiangong Taoist walked away in a flash. Su Junming was left to think hard for a while, then shook his head. He sat down cross-legged. "Activate the Dian Divine Mirror to clear away unnecessary thoughts and clarify your mind." Opening his left palm, the magical god bead emerged. A streak of blood-red smoke inside clashed back and forth, but it was still unable to break through the blockade of the magic god bead. Indeed, Su Junming did not kill the soul of Styx. At first it was just to activate the magic god pearl to confuse Ji Yin. Using the hand seal technique, the divine soul gourd took in Styx's divine soul with a whoosh. "Search for souls." The tyrannical soul power is like a pair of giant hands, fiercely thrusting into the soul of Styx. Countless pictures emerged from the bottom of my heart. Most of Styx's memories were about cultivation, skipping the useless parts, and soon found the lecture in Xixiao Palace that he was most concerned about. It turns out that this is the secret of killing 3 corpses. Searching the soul Styx, what Su Junming wanted to know most was Hung Jun's secret method of killing 3 corpses. Now I finally got what I wanted. As he imagined, the 3 corpses were good, evil, and attached. To kill the 3 corpses, you use the innate spiritual treasure to entrust the 3 thoughts of good, evil, and attachment until the 3 corpses are complete, and then you can kill them. At that time, the distracting thoughts in the mind will be reduced, the power of the inner demon tribulation will be greatly reduced, and the success of overcoming the tribulation will be increased by at least half. No wonder all the monks in the ancient world have practiced this method. It is indeed very effective. However, although the secret method of killing 3 corpses is easy to practice, it is extremely difficult to completely achieve it. First of all, only top-grade or top-quality innate spiritual treasures can be entrusted to the 3 corpses, and the spiritual treasures entrusted to the 3 corpses must come from the same source. Secondly, good, evil, and attachment must be extremely strong. Good thoughts and bad thoughts are both easy to explain, but obsession is elusive and the most difficult to kill. Finally, regardless of good thoughts, evil thoughts, or obsessions, they are all transformed by the soul. If you want to cut them out, you must have a strong enough soul. Otherwise, once the soul is injured, you will be seriously injured at least, or seriously injured on the road. Collapse. Even though there are so many difficulties, the secret method of killing 3 corpses is still a great way to reach the extreme realm of Hunyuan. If it weren't for the Dian Divine Mirror, there's no way I would be able to practice this way. He took out a jade slip, recorded the secret method of killing 3 corpses, and stored it in the library. Finally, there is the content of Hung Jun's sermon. Among them are the Tao of Time, the Tao of Space, and the Tao of the 5 Elements. Unfortunately, apart from the way of killing that he practiced, Styx didn't remember much. After recording the valuable information, the spirit gourd turned, and the spirit of the Styx became the nutrient for the growth of the gourd. I forgot one thing. Use your right hand to gently tap the center of your eyebrows and slowly pull forward. A series of dotted blue mists slowly flew out. This is the Pangu Yuanling who gathered after he activated Pangu's true form last time. Soon, a basketball-sized ball of blue smoke with dots inside appeared in the palm of his right hand. He took a step forward and arrived at a large hall. The surroundings were empty, except for a blue 12-grade lotus floating in the air. This 12-grade lotus flower was made by him with innate spiritual energy, and the Pangu Yuanling gathered in the past was sealed inside. The accumulation of 7 Yuanhui has mobilized the Dushan god and demon formation dozens of times, and the number of Pangu Yuanlings in it is already extremely large. With a wave of his right hand, the blue ball of light flew into the 12th grade lotus. The latter's light flashed and became brighter. Su Junming was about to turn around and leave. With one step, he arrived at the 12-level lotus flower in an instant. Stretch out your right hand, hold the lotus and feel it carefully. Sure enough, a subtle fluctuation of spiritual consciousness was reflected in the bottom of my heart. How is it possible for spiritual consciousness to be transformed? After sensing it again, a small consciousness, like a newly born chick, cautiously touched his consciousness. At this point, Su Junming was convinced that he had read it correctly. A new life appeared in the sealed lotus, a new life that grew from Pangu Yuanling. Although it was still very weak and could almost be destroyed with a snap of a finger, Su Junming still stayed after hesitating for a while. This little thing was born from Pangu Yuanling, and can be regarded as a descendant of Pangu. The potential is endless. With the help of the Dushan gods and demons formation, he condensed Pangu's true form and repeatedly defeated powerful enemies. This was considered a debt of karma to Pangu. Giving you a chance is my repayment of karma. With a wave of his sleeve, the seal of the main hall was suddenly released, and the rich innate spiritual energy rolled in. Upon noticing the changes in the outside world, the small consciousness in the lotus suddenly jumped for joy and began to actively absorb the spiritual energy from the outside to support itself. Seeing this, Su Junming smiled faintly, and after thinking for a moment, he stretched out his hand. The qi refining chapter of Chongshan Zhenjing was passed on. I've given you the opportunity. How far you can go in the end depends on you. After saying that, he turned around and left the hall. There is Chao Lingfeng sitting on a 3-foot spiritual boat, flying slowly along a river that is 30 billion miles wide. This big river is called Tongtian River. It originates from Buzhu Mountain. It first goes north, then turns south. After stretching for tens of millions of miles, it turns east and finally flows into the giant lake. Tongtian River and Zhuhu are also the boundaries of Buzhu Mountain area. Chongshan Academy has set up a large formation here to protect the 300 trillion miles around Buzhu Mountain, which belongs exclusively to Chongshan Academy. However, the border protection formation will not be fully activated on weekdays, so patrol envoys are needed to patrol the border and prevent outsiders from sneaking across. If outsiders visit Chongshan Academy, the inspector is also responsible for receiving and guiding them. Yoshio Lingfeng is such an inspector. De Luo Zhengxian's cultivation level is not bad even in the ancient world. After inspecting the section of the river he was in charge of, and seeing that nothing happened, he reached out and tapped the jade talisman on his waist, and a spiritual light flew out. Soon, a water mirror about 10 feet in size formed 9 feet in front of him. Shui Jingzhong is not an influence, but is similar to a chat group. In fact, the original function of this kind of spiritual treasure called the spiritual talisman that Su Junming cultivated was to summon his companions once the Chongshan patrol envoy encountered a formidable enemy that was difficult to withstand. However, there are only a few enemies that can be difficult for Chongshan inspector to deal with, and you may not encounter one in 100 years. As time went by, the chat function became the main function of the psychic talisman. Everyone, have you heard? The patriarch of our sect killed the ancient great power ancestor Styx in the Sea of Blood, and defeated Saint Zunti in the Battle of Chaos. Really or not? Is the patriarch so powerful? Western Taoist Zunti Taoist is one of the 6 saints of the ancient world. This is still false. My master went to the Sea of Blood with Deacon Nanshan, but he saw the great power of the ancestor with his own eyes. No wonder people keep coming to visit during this period. Even the disciples of the second sect of Ji-Chan are polite and considerate. They don't want to be as unruly as before. It turns out to be the relationship between the ancestors. So, our Chongshan is also a saint section. Of course. Let's see who dares to bully us when we go out again. There was a lot of discussion within the psychic talisman, but Yoshio Lingfeng did not speak. He already knew about the Battle of Blood Sea and the ancestor of our sect. Because his master is Nanshan Kun. The information is much better than ordinary disciples. However, every time I think about the feats of our ancestors, my heart is still filled with fire and I am deeply proud of them. Disciples of saints. Although this status is not enough for him to walk sideways in the wilderness, at least he will not be intercepted and bullied by Western disciples. Just when Yoshio Lingfeng was full of ambition, daydreaming about his future journey, and all the cultivators showed respect, the bronze bell hanging on the mast of the spirit boat rang. A clever thought came into my mind. Someone touched the formation. He quickly gathered his mind and activated the spirit boat. Under the guidance of the tracking formation carved in the spirit boat, it flew straight towards the place where the formation was touched. After a moment, they found the place. With a wave of his sleeves, the situation outside the formation came into view. A middle-aged woman with beautiful face and noble temperament wearing a yellow dress and a phoenix crown is sitting on a black phoenix. Yoshio Lingfeng couldn't feel the middle-aged woman's cultivation at all, and his spiritual consciousness swept away it, as if it didn't exist. His heart trembled, and he understood that the other party's cultivation level was far above his. "Thank you for your help, little brother. Yu Ming is sincerely asking to see true Lord Chongshan. Just now I was surprised that the other party could actually see him through the formation, but after hearing the other party's words, I felt enlightened. Yu Ming Pingzin is Empress Pingzin. Although the ancestral witch empress transformed from Earth into the underworld happened in ancient times and not many people know about it today, the ancient history of Chongshan Academy is a compulsory course for every disciple. Therefore, for casual cultivators and even most prehistoric monks, the obscure and mysterious ancient times are not so mysterious in the eyes of Chongshan disciples. Chongshan General Academy even has the subjects of history of Taishu and history of Taipei, but they are far back in time and the content is not as rich as ancient history. Empress Pingzin, wait a moment, I will inform you right now. Thank you. Yoshio Lingfeng did not dare to neglect, and quickly activated the spiritual talisman and contacted the master to explain the reason. Invite Empress Pingzin to the Chongshan Hall of the main hospital immediately. The attitude must be respectful. Yes. He quickly moved the seal and opened the formation. Mother, please come in. Ho Tu patted Mo Feng and sat down. The latter gave a long cry, flapped its wings and flew in. Subconsciously, I felt that the spiritual energy was indeed stronger than outside, but it was only 2 or 3 times, not too exaggerated. Empress, please come with me. Thank you. Chao Lingfeng led the way, and Mo Feng was urged by Hu Tu to follow behind. Along the way, you can clearly see the city and village below. As far as the eye can see, the countryside is lush, densely populated, and chickens and dogs hear each other. It looks like a prosperous place. Even the most ordinary villagers are neatly dressed and have red faces, showing no sign of poverty or hunger. The powerful aura in the town is extremely dense, and it is obvious that there are many practitioners. I didn't expect that not only are there many monks under the sect of Chongshan Academy, but ordinary people also live a prosperous life. Su Junming, the true king of Chongshan, is indeed worthy of being a saint. After crossing the vast mountains and rivers, the shadow of a huge mountain became increasingly clear. Buzhu Mountain. Seeing it, Ho Tu's expression appeared dazed for a moment. Back then, this was the headquarters of their Wu clan. As a result, a lich war completely changed everything. Take a deep breath to calm your mind. Regardless of whether she wants it or not, the witch clan will never be able to return to its former glory. It's as if the broken Buzhu Mountain can never be restored to its original state. Gradually, the shadow of Buzhu Mountain became clearer and clearer. You can see that there are tens of thousands of people in this huge mountain. In the valleys of various sizes, there are all kinds of powerful auras crisscrossing each other. There are hundreds of thousands in number. And every breath is at least a low level. Become a disciple of Taoist priest Four Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 1085. Chapter 1065, Peace of Mind, Mother of the Earth. Ho Tu sat cross-legged on Mo Feng, feeling the Delugo aura rising into the sky from the various valleys of Buzhu Mountain, and was secretly surprised in his heart. Although it is still not as good as the heyday of the Wu clan, it is already 70% to 80% complete. You must know that the Wu clan was born at the end of the ancient times. After dozens of Yuan Hui accumulated, they only have 1 million Delugo. Nowadays, the prehistoric innate spiritual energy has disappeared, and the environment is not as good as in the ancient times, let alone the ancient times. However, Chongshan Academy can still accumulate so many Delugo disciples in nearly 7 Yuan Hui years, which shows that it must be outstanding. The talent and talents of true Lord Chongshan are indeed extraordinary. No wonder he has become a being who can achieve enlightenment and become a saint in the ancient times without the need for the purple chi of Hongmeng. Chao Lingfeng was flying in front. While leading the way, he would occasionally look at Ho Tu's expression. Noticing the surprise in her eyes, I felt secretly proud. In fact, there are more Deluo disciples in Chongshan Academy than just those in front of you. They just have teaching tasks, or they have spiritual fields in Buzhu Mountain that need to be taken care of. A large part of them are in Chongshan Cave Heaven, and the remaining part are teaching in various tribes and major branches in Chongshan. He didn't know the exact number, but it must be more than 3 million. When they reached the top of the mountain, after being knocked off by Gong Gong, the entire top of Buzhu Mountain turned into a huge platform that spanned tens of millions of miles, like a continent. It is lush and lush, with lakes and rivers all available. The pavilions and pavilions of different shapes and unique aesthetics are built against the mountains and laid their foundations near the water. The mountains and rivers are interdependent and blend into each other without any obtrusiveness. Monks in groups of 3 or 3 are either discussing Taoism with each other under the pavilion, some are competing on the broad stone platform, some are lying by the stream with half-undressed clothes holding Taoist books in hand, or they are plowing in the fields wearing koi raincoats. There are also streaks of escaping light that are shocking to the sky, like migrating swallows, numerous in number, but orderly and not chaotic. There are also dozens of disciples surrounding the teacher, who are not ashamed to ask questions, are sensitive and eager to learn. What a comfortable, leisurely, and otherworldly Taoist scene. This is the real atmosphere of the big school. Ho Tu was shocked. Whether it was in Kunlun Mountain, Sumeru Mountain, Jin Ao Island, or anywhere else in the wilderness, she had never seen a similar scene. With this foundation, Chongshan Academy has become a great institution, capable of competing with Renjichan and Western sect for its destiny. Just when Ho Tu was secretly observing the strength of Chongshan Academy, several rays of light flew from a distance. The auras are strong, and they are obviously the perfect existence of Deluo Jingxian. Soon they came to Ho Tu's Mount Mo Feng and stood 9 feet away. Seeing the person coming, Yushao Lingfeng quickly bowed and saluted. Master. Nanshan Kun smiled and nodded. Nanshan Kun, the chief deacon of Chongshan, has brought 2 junior brothers to greet Empress Pingxin on the order of the ancestor. Thank you, fellow Taoist. Your Majesty, please come with me. After Ho Tu nodded, he followed Nanshan Kun and walked towards the most magnificent palace in the center of Buzhu Mountain. Arriving at the palace gate, Su Junming, who had already received the news, stood on the steps outside the door with his hands behind his hands. His calm demeanor and otherworldly temperament are heartbreaking. What surprised Ho Tu even more was that she couldn't sense the existence of any magic power, as if the person standing not far away was just an ordinary person. True Lord Chongshan Su Junming is indeed extraordinary. Floating down from Mo Feng's back. Ping Xian has met fellow Taoist Su. I came here uninvited. I hope you can forgive me. Your Majesty, you're welcome. Today, the Jade Toe has arrived, and my Chongshan Academy is in full bloom. After a few polite words, they were welcomed into the hall. After Su Junming served tea, Su Junming smiled and said nothing. Ho Tu had no intention of continuing to nag. I also want to congratulate fellow Taoist for reaching the Holy Realm. You don't need Hongmeng Purple Chi to control the power of heaven. Fellow Taoist is the first person after the 6 ancient saints. Your Majesty is overly praised. Su Junming is just a coincidence. Seeing that he didn't accept the move, Hu Tu had to ask himself. Dare you ask my friend, the one who relies on my fellow Taoists to prove the holy status of Taoism, is my witch clan's 12 capitals of heavenly gods formation. The holy position is just a kind of heavenly fruit position, which controls the power of heaven and earth, allowing people to have the combat power of Hunyuan golden immortal level in advance. Holy status does not represent cultivation. Su Junming secretly thought, sure enough. Yes and no. What's the explanation? I don't have the 12 ancestral witches of the witch clan to suppress it. The 12 capitals of the gods and evil formation can only be regarded as one direction for me. If I want to exert its power, it will naturally be improved. Ho-Tu's eyes lit up. How can fellow Taoist improve? Before he finished speaking, he suddenly stopped. Forgive me, fellow Taoist, it's me, Meng Lang. This is the foundation of others' sanctification. How can you tell others? Su Junming smiled calmly. It doesn't matter. Our Wu clan's 12 capital heavenly gods formation is profound and profound. Fellow Taoists can understand it and improve it. This shows that the strength of the formation is extraordinary. Su Junming smiled and didn't say much. The formation of the 12 capital heavenly gods is actually very superficial. If the 12 ancestral witches were not transformed by the essence and blood of Pangu, there would be no way to summon Pangu's shadow and control the divine power of heaven and earth. Su Junming and Taoist Tiangong worked together to improve it and figured out the Dushan Shensha formation, which can gather the power of any descendant of Pangu to truly manifest Pangu's true form, doubling its power. It doesn't even require the power of heaven and earth to defeat Taoist Zunti. Seeing that he cherished his words like gold, Ho-Tu said again. My witch clan's 12 capitals of the gods and evil formation map has been kept by my eldest brother Dijong. Later, my eldest brother died in the battle without a trace of his body. Since Taoist friends have obtained the formation map of the Great Formation, I think they must also have obtained it from my eldest brother. His body. Looking at her compelling gaze, Su Junming was not a fool, so how could he admit it? I'm afraid I'm going to disappoint fellow Taoist. I have never encountered the body of Emperor Jiang's ancestral witch. I have only comprehended the 12 capitals of the great formation of divine evil in the hands of a fellow Taoist. Of course Ho-Tu didn't believe it. I hope that my fellow Taoist will take pity on my brother and tell him the whereabouts of that fellow Taoist, so that my brother's soul can return to his homeland and his body can rest in peace. I'm afraid I will disappoint fellow Taoist. I promised that fellow Taoist that I would not reveal his name to a third person under any circumstances. Although Ho-Tu didn't have much hope when he asked, but at this moment he was bluntly rejected, which made him feel angry. But even if she gets angry again, she can only endure it. After all, the person sitting in front of him was a saint, and his strength was still above him. Sighed deeply. It's pity that my brother is dead and his soul is dead. He can't even rest his body on his head. Su Junming looked at it with a calm expression. No matter what Ho-Tu's purpose is, he will never admit that he has obtained Dijiang's corpse and the 12 capitals of the divine evil formation. As for being pitiful, aren't those billions of creatures killed by Dijiang pitiful? In the prehistoric world, except for a very small number of monks who have achieved Hunyuan, their bottoms are unclean. Seeing that he was silent, Hu-Tu took a breath and stopped probing. Fellow Daoist Su, if you can use our Wu clan's 12 capital heavenly gods formation as the foundation to achieve Taoism and become a saint, you will be destined to our Wu clan. Moreover, I also admire the purpose of establishing the sect of my Chongshan lineage, but I don't know that my Wu clan can young disciples enter Chongshan Academy to practice. Su Junming smiled faintly. The Wu clan planned to take shelter under his sect. Fellow Taoist, are you willing to let the children of the Wu clan join Chongshan? After the great formation of the liches of my witch clan, not even 1 out of 10 remains. They have long lost their glory. Now they are just lingering in the nether world, so what is there to be reluctant to do? Ho-Tu said with a bitter smile. Since fellow Taoist people have this intention, I can't refuse. Ho-Tu was a little surprised. Agreed so readily? Isn't he afraid of causing trouble with the witch clan? Seeing her like this, Su Junming said calmly. Our Chongshan Academy is open to all rivers and is not limited to one's origin. Moreover, there is no cause and effect of life and death between the Wu clan and the human race. Naturally, one can enter Chongshan cultivation. But fellow Taoists, you should know that Chongshan, have its own rules. There are tests for entry, those with violent tempers, disrespect for teachers, and those who commit crimes and violate discipline are not allowed to enter. In addition, I have my own system for training in Chongshan. You need to go through the lower courtyard, the middle courtyard, the upper courtyard, and the main courtyard. If you don't enter the Daluo, you are not allowed to go down the mountain to practice Taoism. Chongshan Academy is not just about practice, it also has a unique style of thought that is completely different from that of prehistoric times. After thousands of years of practice, he did not believe that these Wu clan people could withstand the complicated brainwashing. Unable to resist, he naturally became the attention of Chongshan Academy. No matter how bad it is, I will never be an enemy of Chongshan. As for the karma of the witch clan, a witch formation is enough to repay it. Now that the two clans are in decline, it doesn't matter. Ho Tu frowned. Although he couldn't guess why Su Junming did this, since he wanted something from the other party, he naturally agreed. Everything is according to what fellow Taoists said. In this case, people from the Wu clan can go to Chongshan to practice. Thank you, fellow Taoist, for making this possible. Your Majesty, you're welcome. Pingxin has a smile on her face, and her eyes sparkle. I've heard for a long time that fellow Taoist Su has a profound Taoist practice. I wonder if I can talk about it? Nature. Please. Please. Qingyuan bloomed above their heads. Su Junming's huge Qingyuan was no longer 3 lotuses, but a huge gourd vine. There are 3 gourd flowers in black, white, and 12 colors on the gourd vine. Among the 12-color gourd flowers in the middle, there is a gourd vine that bears 12 gourds. The top of the gourd vine holds the Dian mirror. The white gourd flower on the left holds the underworld death flag, the Xianyuan water control flag, the magical god bead, the 2 swords of Yuan Tuabi and the Pangu sword. The black gourd flower on the right holds 18 demonic banners of Dushan gods. It is obvious that Su Junming's Taoism has completely broken out of the stereotypes of Suanmen Taoism and has truly become a genre of its own. Opposite Hutu, she had transformed into the netherworld and had completely broken away from the Wu clan's practice method. The 3 dark yellow lotus flowers on Qingyuan obviously came from the lineage of Suanmen. The lotus in the middle holds a black ball. The atmosphere of the netherworld permeates the inside, and there are 18 continents, each of which is tens of millions of miles across. Mountains of knives, stone mills, and iron trees are just like the legendary 18 hells. A dim yellow river flows through it, with countless souls struggling in it. Overall, it looks like a smaller version of the netherworld. Thanks to the book friend Zhong Hong Tianxia for the 600 starting coin reward, thank you very much. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 1086. In a moment, the black ball transformed into a vast land, dominated by the thick earth element aura, and combined with many laws such as Shaiyin, Xinjin, Binghuo, and so on. There is even the underworld. From this, Su Junming felt a familiar law. The laws of the earth. Su Junming suddenly understood. Hutu is also called the mother of the earth, so the Taoist practice is naturally the earthly Emperor Dao. And the earthly Emperor Dao is also full of the netherworld Dao. No wonder Ao Tian's way of the emperor has always been difficult to perfect, and it still lacks the law of the netherworld. Su Junming had no intention of looking at the other 2 lotus flowers, so he directly leaned Qingyuan on them and understood the laws of the underworld. Ho Tu didn't expect Su Junming to be so direct. Are we so familiar with each other? However, I proposed the sermon myself, and it was not easy to refuse others at this time. And she also wanted to pry into Su Junming's background. After taking a slight breath, he gathered his mind and understood Su Junming's path. Soon, countless insights about the way of space poured into my heart. When Su Junming showed off his Taoism to the outside world, he always focused on space Taoism and supplemented it with formation Taoism. This will naturally be no exception. The Tao of the Hunyuan realm is obscure and complicated, and every harvest is measured in hundreds of years. Su Junming and Ho Tu realized each other's Tao in the blink of an eye. Call. The mighty Qingyuan slowly converged. They both woke up at the same time. Su Junming's eyes showed regret. The realm of Ho Tu Yuming Dao has reached the late stage of Hunyuan Xianxian. With the help of the Dian Divine Mirror, it took him 10,000 years to comprehend the Tao Hunyuan True Immortal, and there was still a lot of room for improvement. Therefore, he really didn't want it to end like this. Reluctantly, Ho Tu took Qingyun back on his own initiative, and he could not rely on it. For Ho Tu, the Dao of space is certainly very attractive, but her main purpose is to pry into Su Junming's true story. Now that I have the results, I naturally don't want to waste my time. No matter how good the space Dao is, it is not his main practice. The Empress is indeed worthy of being born in the ancient times. She is a true cultivator of the ancient enlightened ancestors. She has entered the late stage of Hunyuan Xianxian in the imperial way. After a few Yuan Hui, she will be a perfect body. The period of becoming a Hunyuan golden immortal is not far away. That's it? Fellow Taoist, this is a wonderful compliment. The difference between Hunyuan Xianxian and Hunyuan Jingxian is the difference between heaven and earth. From the beginning to the present, more than a few Taoist friends have fallen outside the threshold. Although Pingzhen has a few, I don't have much faith, but I don't dare to hope. In contrast, fellow Taoists practice the Huishan Dao, which is difficult to comprehend, and minor in the formation Dao. They are still able to enter the realm of Hunyuan Xianxian, and now they have ascended to the holy throne. There will definitely be fellow Taoists among the Hunyuan golden immortals in the future. After complimenting each other, Hu Tu, who had achieved his goal, stood up and left. Nan Shankan. The disciple is here. Send your wife away for me. Disciple, obey. He looked deeply at the green-robed Taoist in front of him. I also hope that fellow Taoist disciples will not forget their origins with my witch clan and will not cause our witch clan to become extinct. Don't worry, fellow Taoist. If the Wu clan enters our Chongshan mountain, they will never be in danger of being destroyed. Farewell. It's good to go, my dear. Send Ho Tu out of Chongshan Hall and watch her ride on Mo Feng and fly away under the leadership of Nanshan Kun. Not long after, a young man wearing a gun dragon emperor's robe and a dragon crown, with a majestic aura, as if he was a godless king, appeared next to Su Junming. Did Ho Tu ask the Wu clan to join you? I didn't expect it either. However, the Wu clan will not place all their hopes on Chongshan Academy. They will probably just leave a way out. Su Junming thought about the upcoming struggle between Xianyuan and Chu for hegemony. It was obvious that the Wu clan wanted to take advantage of the opportunity to make a comeback, and was worried that after failure, like most ethnic groups in ancient times, they would completely disappear into history and turn into dust, so he planned to leave a trace. Road. Ao Tien nodded in agreement. Hu Tu is indeed a rare wise man among the Wu clan. Su Junming nodded and looked back. The way forward for the path of the Emperor is clear. You can prepare to merge the three paths of the Emperor, Earth Emperor, and Human Emperor, and advance to the Hunyuan Xianxian. Ao Tien showed a hint of excitement on his face. I really didn't expect that the complete Earth Emperor Dao is actually full of netherworld reincarnation. No wonder I have always had difficulty integrating the three Dao. Now that you know it, why don't you hurry up and start practicing? Why are you coming here to me? Haha, of course we have to find out what happened here. By the way, Lao Chi said that you and Nuwa became Taoist couples. Su Junming frowned. In addition to his hobby of sleeping, this bastard also has a leaky mouth. So this is true, Ao Tian said with great interest. What a piece of shit, get out of here. Haha, I'm sorry. Don't worry, since you have fallen in love with Nuwa, then we don't care about Nuwa in my world anymore. Su Junming kicked him over, and Ao Tian disappeared instantly. Too lazy to pay attention to these guys, he returned to Chongshan residence in a flash. After checking the 12th grade glazed green lotus, the consciousness awakened from Pangu Yuanling found that it was indeed much stronger with the support of endless spiritual energy. With a thought in his heart, the 18 Dushan gods and demon flags once again formed the Dushan gods and demons formation. The huge Pangu true body suddenly took shape, and soon the divine power of heaven and earth gathered. Of course, there were also endless Pangu Yuanling. Su Junming continued to explore the memories in Pangu Yuanling. It's a pity that rare Yuanling fragments like the Pangu 9 axes have not been found again. I don't know how long it lasted, but Su Junming was awakened by the sound of a copper bell. After putting away the formation, injecting the excess Pangu Yuanling into the 12th grade glazed green lotus, he turned around and left Chongshan residence. Seeing the patriarch appearing, Nanshan Kun quickly put away the bronze bell and hung it on his waist. Ancestor, my disciple Nanshan Kun pays my respects. What's the matter? The witch clan has sent 3 million people, and we also asked the patriarch to tell us how to arrange it. Hutu's actions are very slow. After thinking for a while, split these people up and allocate 1 or 2 people to each House of Commons. Remember, they cannot be brought together. Assimilation is easier only when we are apart. Disciple, obey. With that said, Nanshan Kun took out a green jade box from his magic bag and held it in front of Su Junming. This is brought by the great witch Xin Tian, who is led by the witch clan, and he specifically asked to hand it over to the master. He said that this is a gift from the witch clan to the master. I am grateful to the teacher for allowing the disciples of the witch clan to join Kongshan's section. After holding it in his hand, Su Junming's eyes flashed with excitement. The Wu clan has given me a gift that I can't refuse. Tell Xin Tian for me that as long as the Wu clan disciples do not violate my Chongshan sect rules, Chongshan will protect their safety. As commanded. Go ahead. Disciple resigns. Nanshan Kun turned around and left the hall. Su Junming returned to the pavilion in the backyard of Chongshan residence. After a moment of simple meditation, he pinched a few seals with his right hand, and a ray of spiritual light disappeared into the jade box. The seal above was instantly released. In the jade box, a drop of green-red viscous liquid the size of an apple was revealed. You don't need to specifically sense it, you can clearly feel the unimaginable and powerful energy and blood in this liquid. It can be said that the energy contained in this drop of blood is hundreds of times stronger than all the energy and blood in Su Junming's body now combined. With the help of the vital inner elixir of the underworld demon dead beast, Su Junming's martial arts cultivation has now reached the perfection of Hunyuan true immortal. Just wait for the mana cultivation level to rise, and you can start to break through the Hunyuan Xianxian. He was like this, but he couldn't compare to this drop of blood. It shows how powerful it is. Divine consciousness immersed. A desolate roar sounded in the bottom of my heart. Soon, a figure hundreds of millions of feet tall, with 36 green lotuses at its feet, a giant bronze axe in hand, a jade book on its head, a divine bead hanging on its back, its chest exposed, and a domineering and powerful aura appeared in the bottom of my heart. Pangu. After reading the memories in Pangu Yuanling, Su Junming was no longer unfamiliar with Pangu, and could even be called familiar with him. So when I saw the drop of blood in the jade box with the Dian mirror, I instantly understood its identity. I didn't expect that the witch clan still has such a magical thing as Pangu's essence and blood. What he didn't expect even more was that Ho-Tu was willing to give him such a top-notch treasure. The karmic debt is huge. It was precisely because he understood this that he finally promised that the mountains would not be destroyed and the Wu clan would not be destroyed, so that Ho too could rest assured. He stretched out his hand and the essence and blood flew up from the box. The volume expanded rapidly, and in the blink of an eye, it had become 300 billion miles in size. It was like a burning sun, burning the entire pavilion space as if it had fallen into a furnace. Too masculine. As expected, he is worthy of being the great god Pangu. A drop of blood can be so powerful. After admiring it for a moment, he collected the essence and blood again and sealed it. He took a slight breath to calm down his excitement. With this drop of blood essence, the plan to rebuild Pangu's true body will be greatly shortened. Essence and blood are the lifeblood of all creatures in the world, and contain the core genetic code of living beings. No matter how powerful a being is, there are only a dozen drops of essence and blood in his body. With this drop of Pangu's essence and blood, coupled with Pangu's head, after Su Junming's smelly lung is born, he can gradually repair his body with the help of rich spiritual energy just like Tiangong Taoist. There is no need to wait until the physical body is perfected before being reborn. It saves countless time and energy. It's a big deal. No matter what the purpose of Dian Divine Mirror is in sending itself to this time and space, it has a strong foundation and the confidence to plan for the future. We can't wait any longer. If we find the reincarnation of the black turtle as soon as possible, we can go back to practice in the Chaos Divine Stone and strive to break through the Hunyuan mysterious immortal as soon as possible. If he guessed correctly, the day he advanced to Hunyuan Xianxian would be the day when the last of the 7 soul avatars, the lung-smelly soul avatar, was born. Just as Su Junming was about to leave Buzhu Mountain, Nanshan Kun came up to him again. What? Is there anything else going on with the Wu clan? Xin Tian has left. The main reason for daring to alert the patriarch this time is the visit of the great immortal Zhen Yuanzi, the ancestor of the earth immortal. Zhen Yuanzi. Exactly. Su Junming smiled with interest, quite curious in his heart. I wonder what the difference is between this Zhen Yuanzi and that old fritter from the earthly immortal realm. Where is Zhen Yuanzi now? On the way. You go and greet him in person, I'll wait for him here. Disciple, obey. Seeing Nan Shankan leave, Su Junming couldn't help but ponder. I have never had any contact with this old man, so why did he come to visit me on his own initiative? If it's a relationship, it's not like this old man's style. Thanks to the book friend Boring Zioxy for the 200 starting coin reward, thank you very much. Become a disciple of Taoist priest for us. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 1087. Chapter 1067 Zhenai Yuan's Visit, a Killing Weapon. Zhen Yuanzi is not a Hotu, and there is no witch clan dragging him down. From ancient times to the present, he has lived in seclusion in Wanchao Mountain to practice, and his life has been leisurely. Although he had several disciples, he did not establish a religion. Therefore, there is no conflict between human interpretation and Western religion. He himself has extraordinary cultivation, and he has the book accompanying the spiritual treasure in his hand. Without the top-notch killing treasure, no one can break this turtle shell. In addition, Zhen Yuanzi has a wide circle of friends and has many friends, so he did not sleep to provoke him. It was precisely because of his understanding that Su Junming was curious about Zhen Yuanzi's purpose of coming here. About 7 days later, Nanshan Kun led a tall, thin, slender-looking old man wearing an apricot Taoist robe, with childish face and white hair, to arrive on a cloud. This old guy has the same virtue as when he was in the earthly immortal realm. Su Junming smiled and greeted him. Friend Zhen Yuanzi came to visit, and our Chongshan Academy is really flourishing. You're welcome, fellow Taoist Su, for interrupting me. I hope you won't be weirded out. Fellow Taoist, please come in. Please. Come inside and sit down. Because he likes to drink tea, Su Junming often uses tea to entertain guests. This time is no exception. After 3 more Yuan Hui sessions, although his green fringe spirit tea was still a low-grade Hunyuan level spiritual root, the spirituality contained in it was far greater than before. It is soft in the mouth, fragrant on the lips and teeth, and clear in mind. It is most suitable for enlightenment. I didn't expect fellow Taoist to have such a magical tea in his hands. Although the tea is good, it is much inferior to the Xiantian Ling Cha in the hands of fellow Taoist Fuxi. It's different, it's different. Fellow Taoist Fuxi's spiritual tea can warm and nourish the body and increase magical power. But fellow Taoist spiritual tea can make the mind clear and increase understanding, which is even more precious. To be able to receive such praise from fellow Taoist Zhen Yuan is no longer due to my hard work. After filling again. Please drink this cup to the full. It's my wish, but I don't dare to ask for my ear. After the two drank it all, Su Junming, who remembered Taoist Tiangong's instructions, did not waste any time. Fellow Taoist Zhen Yuan, do you have something important? Zhen Yuanzi put down his teacup, organized his speech, and then transmitted the message into the secret. Old Taoist has 2 purposes for coming here. Appreciate further details. I believe fellow Taoists also know that the old Taoist had a close friend in ancient times named Ancestor Hongyun. Su Junming suddenly realized. Speaking of this unlucky guy who was seduced, planned, and voluntarily gave up his holy position, everyone in the whole prehistoric era knew about it. There is a saying that if you don't take what God gives you, you will suffer the consequences. Ancestor Hongyun is the most typical example. Later, although he received the Hongmeng Purple Qi from Hongjun, he did not have enough merit to transform the Hongmeng Purple Qi into a holy status. In addition, Hongjun did not accept Hongyun as his disciple. This move simply encourages other monks to rob and seize it. The result was no surprise. Kun Peng, Ming He, Dong Huang Tai and other careerists all surrounded him. Even though Ancestor Hongyun has a high level of cultivation, he can't stop the 3 divine artifacts of Kaishan, the Chaos Clock, with just a 9-9 soul-spreading red gourd. As expected, Ancestor Hongyun was killed. As one of the most powerful men in the world, Hongjun must have profound wisdom, otherwise he would have been eliminated in the cruel ancient war. Granting Hongmeng Purple Qi but not accepting Hongyun as a disciple is like letting someone walk through the market with gold in their arms, and he will not know the result. But he has already done so. Su Junming didn't believe it if there was nothing fishy about it. Therefore, the existence that caused Hongyun's death seemed to be greedy people such as Kun Peng, Ming He, and Dong Huang Tai, but in fact it was Taoist Hongjun who was hidden behind these people. I have pity for my old friend Hongyun, who is pure in heart, loyal, and devoted to the Tao. Unexpectedly, when the Zixiao Palace heard the Tao, Meng Taoist gave him the Hongmeng Purple Qi, but it caused a catastrophic death, and hundreds of millions of years of cultivation. It is pitiable to be like running water. Shaked his head. The old Taoist was greatly helped by my old friend Hongyun when he transformed. He heard that he was in trouble and always wanted to take revenge, but his ability was low and he was unable to do so. Now that the evil thief of the sticks has been killed by his fellow Taoist, it is enough to comfort my old friend. The dead souls under the spring. You're welcome, fellow Taoist. You killed Ming He for my Chongshan disciple, not Hongyun. Even so, it is a fact that fellow Taoist killed sticks. As Zhen Yuanzi waved his hand, a tray appeared. There are 3 baby-like fruits on the tray. Each fruit is tied with a red string and decorated with a few green leaves. Although there is no fruity aroma, you can feel a fresh air. Is this the famous ginseng spirit fruit from fellow Taoists? Exactly. 3 spiritual fruits, just as a thank you gift. Please accept it, fellow Taoist. With that said, he flew towards Su Junming with his magic power. Because there is a seal on the tray, it does not prevent the loss of the spiritual energy of these fruits. Hold it in your hand and sense it with your spiritual consciousness. The richness of the innate spiritual energy in these fruits far exceeds the few that Zhen Yuanzi gave to him when he was in the earthly immortal realm. Thank you, Taoist friend, for the gift. I accepted it shamelessly. There was a pause. Fellow Taoist just now said that there are two purposes. I wonder what the second purpose is. The thieves who killed Hong Yun's old friend, Dong Huang Tai and Ming He, are both dead. Only Demon Master Kunpeng survives. Zhen Yuanzi was bold and wanted to use the two swords of Yuan to Abi in the hands of his fellow Taoist to kill the beast for his own sake. My old friend Hong Yun seeks revenge. The accompanying spiritual treasures in Zhen Yuanzi's hands, whether they are ginseng fruit trees or earth books, are mostly for defense and not enough for killing. The heaven and earth treasure mirror is mainly based on deductions. Yonghui and Qinkengzia can be said to be powerful when dealing with qi refiners who are not as good as themselves, but they are much worse when dealing with Kunpeng. Zhen Yuanzi lacks the final killing spirit treasure in his hands. Without such a spiritual treasure, it would be impossible to break through Hichu Luoxi's defense. There are not many treasures that meet Zhen Yuanzi's needs. The immortal killing sword formation of Master Tongtian, the Pangu banner of Yuan Shi Tianzun, the two swords of Yuan to Abi that originally belonged to the sticks, and now fall into the hands of Su Junming, and the god-killing spear whose fate is unknown. Speaking of which, I have to mention the river sticks again. The defense has the 12-level blood lotus, the attack has the sticks Yuan to, and the offense and defense are balanced. The only one in the ancient world who could compare with him was Sanking. The second saint of the West and Nuwa are both very different. It would not have been so easy to kill him if Su Junming hadn't seen through his details and was proficient in the two ways of time and space, so he was prepared and unprepared, and took the 12-grade blood lotus first. I have heard that Taoist friend Zhen Yuan has many friends. Why not borrow the Pangu flag of Yuan Shi Tianzun and kill Kunpeng then? Wouldn't it be easy to capture him? And doesn't Yuan Shi Tianzun hate people who are hairy and horned the most? I think there is no difference between him and Kunpeng. It doesn't matter. Zhen Yuanzi smiled bitterly. Fellow Taoist, I don't know something. Although Yuan Shi Tianzun hates the demon clan, the teachings of Chan Jiao emphasize on following nature, and he is afraid of cause and effect. If it were not a threat to Chan Jiao, he would never lend me the Pangu flag. The Tongtian sect has a deep sense of doctrine, so you can borrow his immortal killing sword formation, Su Junming said. When Taoist patriarch gave him the Zuxian sword formation, he once said that it cannot be broken by the four saints and cannot be touched lightly. The Zuxian sword formation is the most treasured treasure of fellow Taoist Shangqing at the bottom of the box. Although I have some friendship with him, he will never lend it to me. Hearing this, Su Jun clearly understood. In comparison, Yuantu's two swords of Abi are just his trophies and are not that important, so it is best to borrow them. The two swords of Yuan to Abi belong to me. If I borrow them from fellow Taoists and use them to kill Kunpeng, I'm afraid it will be contaminated by huge karma. Zhen Yuanzi has been practicing Buddhism for many years and is well aware of the hidden meaning in Su Junming's words. If the old Taoist succeeds in killing Kunpeng, Yuan to Abi will be returned, and Hichu Luoshu will also be given to fellow Taoists. Su Junming's eyes lit up. Hichu Luoshu is a treasure of the 48 innate spiritual taboos, which is on the same level as the 4 lotus platforms, the underworld demon's death banner, and the Qinqin cauldron. Moreover, it is also an innate spiritual treasure of the formation Dao. If you get it, it will be of great use to your own path. However, Su Junming already has a lot of treasures in his hands. The underworld death flag, Yuan to Abi, Xianyuan water control flag, and the most critical Dian divine mirror. There is also a chaos clock waiting for him to collect. Although Hichu Luoshu is good, it is not necessary. In contrast, he wanted Kunpeng's body more. It is rumored that this guy was transformed from Pangu's leg bone, but I don't know if it is true. Fellow Taoist Zhen Yuan is an ancient incarnation. I wonder if he has the body of a descendant of Pangu in his hands. Zhen Yuanzi was stunned. He threw out Hichuluashu, but the other party was not moved. Instead, he asked about the bodies of Pangu's descendants. Descendants of Pangu, all the flesh and blood of Pangu Yuan Shen are his descendants. Of course, forget about Yuan Shen, the three pure beings are all saints. There are many divine beasts of heaven and earth transformed into flesh and blood. Tianlong, Zilong, Tianfeng and earthly phoenix, Tiankai and earthly lin, white tiger and black tiger, Suanwu and soaring snake, 12 ancestral witches, and Kunpeng are all descendants of Pangu. Zhen Yuanzi was not a fool. Although he was curious about Su Junming's reason for searching for the bodies of Pangu descendants, he didn't ask any more questions. Think for a moment. At the beginning of the ancient times, my old friend Hong Yun and I repaired the ancient land and accumulated merit. We once obtained the body of a flying snake. But it's still in hand, Su Junming said quickly. Exist. Fellow Taoist gave me Teng Shi's body. Afterwards I got Kunpeng's body, as well as the treasures of Baiming Palace, Hichuluashu and Demon Master's Palace. You can take them as you like. Zhen Yuanzi was a little surprised. Su Junming would actually give up such a top treasure like Hichuluashu? But that's fine, he was reluctant to part with it in the first place, but now that he can keep Hichuluashu in his hands, why not do it? As for the corpses of Tang Snake and Kunpeng, they are of little use if they are left in their hands. They might as well give them to Su Junming. After weighing the pros and cons, he nodded and agreed. Everything is as fellow Taoists said, except that I didn't take Teng Shi's body with me, but left it in Wanchao Mountain. If fellow Taoist is waiting for it, I will go get it for fellow Taoist. There is no need to work for fellow Taoist Zhen Yuan to go back and forth. I will go with you. Of course it's best. After giving Nanshan Kun a few words, Su Junming took Zhen Yuanzi to the top of Buzhu Mountain. With a thought in his heart, the space gourd flew down and transformed into a sky blue stone bridge. Step up. Fellow Taoist, come together. Zhen Yuanzi nodded. He also had a kinkan sleeve that fit the way of space. A top-grade innate spiritual treasure, but the innate Tao charm on my treasure is far inferior to the stone bridge. After landing on the bridge, Su Junming's heart moved. Void divine walk. In an instant, billions of miles of space folded under the stone bridge. With one breath, he left the Buzhu mountain area. In less than half a quarter of an hour, the lush green Longevity Mountain in the distance, like a giant dragon crouching, has come into view. Fellow Taoist, is this place? Zhen Yuanzi looked at the familiar dojo at home and couldn't regain his consciousness for a while. It should be noted that with his cultivation in the later stage of Hunyuan Xianxian, it took him a month to get from Wanchao Mountain to Buzhu Mountain. How long did it take to get back? Half an hour? Immediately sighed. I have long heard that the way of space is the fastest, facing the North Sea at dusk, and traveling across the vast land in a matter of seconds. I thought it was false talk before, but now that I meet fellow Taoists, I realize that our Zhen Yuanzi is just a frog in a well. Here. You and I each have our own strengths. Taoist friend Zhen Yuan is good at civil engineering, but I am not as good as me. While talking, we came to the top of Wanchao Mountain. However, Wuzhuang Temple is obscured by a large formation, making it difficult to find it with the naked eye. Of course, Su Junming's cultivation was extraordinary. He could detect the strangeness with his divine sense alone without using the Dian divine mirror, and then lock the location of Wuzhuang Temple. Putting away the space gourd, the two stood in mid-air. Su Junming didn't need to say more. Zhen Yuanzi hit the jade pole with a wave of his hand, and a spiritual light fell. The water rippled in mid-air, and soon a row upon row of palaces appeared on the top of the mountain. With a flick of the finger, a portal appeared in the formation. Fellow Taoist, please. please. When we arrived here, Zhen Yuanzi was the landlord, so he naturally had to take on the responsibility of guiding them. As soon as the two came in, two unicorns roared over. Seeing Zhen Yuanzi, he quickly stopped his activities. See the master. Fellow Taoist, these two idiots are my sacred beasts that control the mountain. They are usually quite respectful. Su Junming nodded and gave two pills at will. Why don't you quickly thank True Lord Chongshan? True Lord Chongshan. The two unicorns were shocked. The reputation of Su Junming, the eighth sage in the prehistoric times, the true lord of Chongshan, had already spread throughout the world along with his killing of Minghe and his defeat of Zunti. Although they are just the sacred beasts guarding the mountain, they have also received the true biography of Zhen Yuanzi. They hang out with the disciples in the temple on weekdays, and they are well informed. Naturally, they know Su Junming's reputation. I would like to thank the true Lord for the elixir. It is also an opportunity for you to be taught by Taoist friend Zhen Yuan. You will practice well in the future. We will obey the true king's good advice. Let's all go. Zhen Yuanzi waved his hand, and the two unicorns left quickly as if they were granted amnesty. Seeing the two big guys walking away, he let out a sigh of relief. Oh my God, it turns out that's true Lord Chongshan. In front of him, I was almost so nervous that I couldn't breathe. Me too. Is this the legendary pressure of the saint? After nodding fiercely. But our master is able to invite Zhenjun Chongshan, a newly promoted saint, and he really has a wide circle of friends. Yeah. Master is so awesome. Not to mention the two-headed unicorn, under the leadership of Zhen Yuanzi, he entered from the main entrance of Wuzhuang Temple. There are many disciples coming and going, but most of them are registered. There are only 6 true disciples. It is not the legendary King Feng Minjiao, but Chisongzi, Linkongzi, Beibeard, Zuziliu, Xiaunsu, and Huaxian. They are all transformed by innate spiritual roots and born as wood immortals. Among them, Chisongzi has the highest cultivation level, Hunyuan Celestial Immortal, who has gone down the mountain to travel and is no longer in Wuzhuang Temple. The remaining 5 are all Deluo Jinxian consummation. Among them Linkongzi has comprehended the Hunyuan Dao fruit and has begun to prepare for the tribulation. Thanks to book friend Zhang for the 100 starting coin reward. Thank you very much. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 1088. Chapter 1068, Soaring Snake Corpse, Tiankai Essence, and Blood. Although there are few disciples under fellow Taoist disciple Zhen Yuan, they are all elites. They are not inferior to those under Ren Ji-chan and the Western section. Fellow Taoist, you are overly praised. A small family is not as good as a saint's family. Su Junming smiled and waved his hand, and several streams of light flew to the 5 true disciples of Zhen Yuanzi. These elixirs were refined by me. I see them for the first time today, so I will give them to you as gifts. Looking at the porcelain vase in front of them, the disciples took it and thanked them respectfully. The youngest and lively Huaxian quietly opened the porcelain bottle and took a gentle sniff. The rich medicinal fragrance made her eyes instantly light up. With a famous teacher like Zhen Yuanzi, she is also well informed, and she can identify the elixir just by the scent of the medicine. The elixir in it must be a top-grade Deluo level elixir. Xian'er, rude. Seeing the master's scolding look, Huaxian stuck out her tongue with a charming look. I neglected discipline and made fellow Taoists laugh. Your disciple is innocent and cute, and his nature is natural. Fellow Taoist, you don't need to be too harsh. Master, look, Zhenjun didn't even say anything about me, Huaxian Jiao said with a smile. Be brave, don't go down yet. Seeing that the master was angry, Huaxian pouted, bowed her skirts to Su Junming and Zhen Yuanzi, then turned and walked out. You guys can go down as well. Ling Kongzi and other disciples bowed their hands and left. Fellow Taoist, please come with me. Zhen Yuanzi walked in front, followed by Su Junming. The two came to a hill behind was Wang Temple. Zhen Yuanzi pinched a few seals and hit the jade with his hand, and the spiritual light flew out. A downward-facing stone cave was exposed on the originally rough hill. When the two entered, Su Junming instantly sensed the fluctuations in the space. He didn't find it strange. As early as in the earthly immortal realm, Zhen Yuanzi had a profound understanding of the Tao of space. Of course it's not bad now. Light flashed before his eyes, and a huge space appeared in front of him. In this huge land that is hundreds of millions of feet long, there lies a surprisingly large snake. With a single horn on its head, dragon scales all over its body, and 2 wings on its back, it is the legendary ancient beast soaring snake. Rumor has it that the soaring snake was transformed from the intestines of Pangu, and is a divine beast of the water attribute between heaven and earth. Now it seems that it is indeed true. Although more than a dozen Yuanhui have died and are covered with decay, Tang Snake's body is still filled with the rich charm of the Tao of water. According to legend from ancient times, during the war between 10,000 races, Tang Snake and Tianfeng were killed in Tianmang Mountain. Tang Snake was defeated and was killed by Tianfeng with the magical power of Phoenix/Zhen Yuanzi said slowly. There was a touch of emotion in his words. Su Junming stared at the corpse of the soaring snake on the ground, which looked like a meandering giant black mountain. A sword mark could indeed be seen at 7 inches from its body. Even after hundreds of millions of years, the remaining sword energy can still be sensed. Obviously Tianfeng's magical power Phoenix/ is a great magical power of swordsmanship. Su Junming opened his palms, 1 red, 1 black, 2 sword lights rising into the sky, and the powerful killing aura made Zhen Yuanzi feel like needles pricking his body. Staring at the 2 sword lights, he felt excited. Yuan 2, ABI. Suddenly 2 sword lights flew towards him. Subconsciously he reached out to catch it. He looked at the 2 magic swords swimming in his palm like fish. Fellow Taoist, this. Didn't we agree a long time ago? I have to take the body of the snake and lend you Yuan to ABI's 2 swords to kill Kunpeng. That was indeed what he said, but Zhen Yuanzi did not expect that Su Junming would do so thoroughly and take back all the soul marks in the 2 items. In other words, as long as Zhen Yuanzi leaves his soul mark in it, he can't take it back unless Su Junming takes it away by force. Kunpeng's strength is extraordinary. If you can't completely master the 2 swords of Yuan to ABI, and with the protection of Hichu Luoshu, you may not be able to kill him. Zhen Yuanzi took a deep breath and cupped his fists in ceremony. Thank you Taoist friend for your trust. After using these 2 swords, Zhen Yuanzi will definitely return the original jade to Zhao. Then I will wait for the good news from fellow Taoists, Su Junming said with a smile. He now has the status of a saint. If Zhen Yuanzi dares to take away his swords, he will kill him. Anyway, he has also coveted the innate spiritual root of the ginseng fruit tree for a long time. With a wave of his sleeves, a huge pinching force enveloped soaring snake. But seeing this ancient beast that was hundreds of millions of feet long, like a huge mountain, slowly shrinking and gradually disappearing in Su Junming's palm. The business is over, please come to the front to drink tea and rest. No need. I have some important things to deal with, so I can't stay any longer. That's right. Su Junming opened his palms, and 3 sky blue talismans emerged. The rich spatial charm emanating from above shocked Zhen Yuanzi. These 3 Hushan spirit talismans were practiced by me personally. At critical moments, they can work wonders when attached to the 2 swords. The magic power was brought to Zhen Yuanzi. Su Junming is very clear about the power of Hichu Luoshu. The formation is a spiritual treasure with unparalleled defense. Although Yuan to ABI is strong, it may not be able to break through its defense. But now that he has his own space talisman, his chances of winning have increased by 20%. Zhen Yuanzi also understood the reason. So I didn't refuse. Thank you Taoist friend for your generous gift. No need to say thank you. After the matter is completed, Hichuluasha can lend me some time to study. This is easy to hear. Su Junming smiled and nodded. Fellow Taoist Zhen Yuan, I will help you achieve success immediately. Su Junming is leaving. Fellow Taoist, walk slowly. Looking at the slowly disappearing figure, the smile on Zhen Yuan's face slowly faded. What a powerful Hushan Dao magic power! Even the ordinary Hun Yuan Xianxian could not leave the formation quietly that he had set up personally. But just after Su Junming left, there was nothing but a slight fluctuation in space close at hand. Such superb Hushan Taoism really shocked Zhen Yuanzi. He took a breath and calmed down his emotions. His formation has not been fully activated, otherwise he would not be able to come and go freely even if Su Junming was in charge of it. He took a slight breath and looked at the two swords in his palms. Start practicing cross-legged rituals. Yuan Tui Bi is a top-notch innate spiritual treasure with powerful power. If you want to practice it, you will naturally have to put in a lot of effort. Fortunately, Su Junming took back the soul mark, otherwise it would have taken even more time. After leaving Wanchao Mountain, Su Junming returned to Chongshan residence first. He waved his palm to release the soaring snake corpse, his eyes became fiery. Taking a slight breath, he activated the gourd of time. The rich crystal-colored divine light of time, like a river bursting its banks, rushed down and quickly enveloped the entire soaring snake corpse. Return to our roots. Visible to the naked eye, the decaying energy on soaring snake's body quickly dissipated. The qi and blood in the body are like an erupting volcano, getting stronger and hotter. The mana in Su Junming's body is also rapidly depleting. Seeing that it's almost done, stop to recover mana before continuing. After doing this a dozen times, Tengshi had fully recovered to her peak, and the vast energy and blood filled the entire space, tens of thousands of feet away, as if falling into a furnace. Surrounded by the powerful rime of water movement, just a slight movement can attract all the water in the world to follow. A trickle of water turns into a world-destroying flood. The sword wounds on his body and the broken scales have been completely repaired. If Yuan Shen is added, the soaring snake ancestor who has traveled through the ancient times and reached the late stage of Hun Yuan Xianxian will be resurrected in an instant. It's a pity that Su Junming only wants the body, not the spirit of the soaring snake ancestor. He took out a blank Tushan god demon flag and put the body of soaring snake inside. The soaring snake that entered the sacred banner seemed to come to life, spreading its wings and flying up and down in the world of the sacred banner. The desolate scream was deafening. The 19th face divine flag, soaring snake divine flag. Su Junming felt excited. Every time there was an additional divine flag, the power of Dushan's array of gods and demons would increase. And this is one of the few ways he can quickly improve his strength. Naturally very eager. However, this soaring snake divine flag is a notch weaker than the previous 18-faced divine flags, and it still needs to be practiced well before it can be of great use. Putting away the sacred flag, Su Junming opened his palms, and two balls flew out. One is red gold and the other is green gold. The rich and hot essence is like a bright moon. With deep spiritual consciousness, the phoenix screamed in the red gold ball of light, and a red phoenix with a chicken head, a turtle's back, a swallow, a deer's paws, and a fish's tail came with the fierce fire rolling into the sky. And in the blue gold ball of light, the roar shook the sky. A unicorn with a dragon head, a horse body, dragon scales, and an ox tail looks up to the sky and roars, its hooves flying, and galloping endlessly. Wherever you go, the energy of the earth will follow you. Like a yellow elf leaping in the sand. Kylan and Lin, one male and one female, the one with horns is Kylan, the one without horns is Kylan. The identity of this unicorn, which is covered in yellow scales and has no horns on its head, becomes clear. Staring at the two balls of blood in his hand, he did not expect such an unexpected gain after restoring soaring snake's body. Tianfeng Essence and Blood and Tiankai Essence and Blood. Su Junming already had the Tianfeng Divine Flag. With a flick of his finger, the red gold blood essence flew out and left the space in his palm. However, the basketball-sized essence blood mass expanded rapidly, and in the blink of an eye it had grown to 30,000 feet. The hot blood seemed to fall into a furnace. Ripples rippled in the void, and a huge crest stretched out, swallowing the blood in one gulp. They are of the same origin and can be easily integrated. Su Junming instantly felt that the aura of the Tianfeng Divine Flag had increased. We can prepare to let him survive the disaster. The remaining Tiankai essence and blood is still far from enough to be used to worship the Tiankai Divine Banner. After all, this is just a little residual blood, not complete blood essence. Fortunately, Su Junming's Tushan God Demon Banner does not require too much blood, as long as there is enough introduction. Of course, even so, Tiankai's essence and blood were still a lot worse. However, Su Junming is not helpless. Make a hand gesture. The divine light of creation. The gourd of creation sheds rays of milky white divine light, and the deepest spirituality of the essence and blood is instantly activated, and with the assistance of the divine light of creation, it grows rapidly. Visible to the naked eye, Tiankai's essence and blood increased in size. This Kailan beast's cultivation level at its peak was no more than Hunyuan Xianxian. Now, Su Junming's realm of the Tao of creation, due to Tiangong Taoist, has almost reached the perfection of Hunyuan Xianxian. It is naturally not difficult to breed Tiankai essence and blood with the divine light of creation. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 1089. Chapter 1069, Adding the Gods and Demons Flags, Kunlun Yuanqi asked. Time passed little by little. Tiankai's essence and blood grew stronger little by little. Thousands of years later, a ball of essence and blood measuring 100,000 feet stood above Su Junming's head. The roar of the explosive Kailan was deafening, and the mighty energy filled all directions. About there. Opening his eyes, the blank divine banner unfolded and quickly absorbed the blood essence. The restriction within the sacred banner moved instantly, but in a moment, the image of a yellow unicorn roaring upwards appeared on the banner. Seeing it in his eyes, Su Junming felt satisfied. The 20th faced divine flag, Tiankai divine flag. After admiring it for a moment, he shook his head. This divine flag is just in its infancy and is far from the other divine flags. It still needs to be well nurtured before it can be used. Fortunately, he still had a lot of blood water left, which was enough for the time being. Everything is understood, it's time to go. As soon as his heart moved, his figure disappeared instantly. Leaving Chongshan residence, he flew straight towards Donghuang. He calculated the whereabouts of the black turtle's soul, and it should be on the coast of the East China Sea. Yugzu Palace in Kunlun Mountain. Yuanqi Tianzun is sitting cross-legged on the throne, with Guangqinzi standing at the bottom and Yun Zongzi prostrating in the middle. So, you and Chongshan Su Junming have known each other for a long time. Yes. Why didn't you tell me earlier? If the Antarctic immortal hadn't mentioned it, his master would not have known that there was such a deep connection between his disciples and true Lord Chongshan. Disciple and he have not seen each other for several yuanhui. We are already strangers to each other, so we have not reported it, Yun Zongzi said. When true monarch Chongshan became a saint, he was the most shocked. When we were in Buzhu Mountain, everyone was obviously about the same level of cultivation, and he was even a little stronger. As a result, he has not been seen for 7 yuanhui. He has just broken through to the Hunyuan celestial immortal, and he has already become a saint. It feels like I have worked hard for 20 years and finally saved tens of millions of dollars. but the little friends who once wore crotchless pants and peed in the mud have become jack horses in the blink of an eye, and they also have a series of young models in the club, and they are angry horses in bright clothes. The gap is too big. Even with Yun Zong's state of mind, he felt deeply stimulated. How could he easily expose his relationship with Su Junming? Actively inviting ridicule? Looking at the disciple's expression, Yuan Tianzun somewhat understood his concerns. He was not overly harsh, and Yun Zongzi was the first disciple under his sect to break through to the Hunyuan realm, which was a sign of pride for himself. When you met Su Junming, was he really only a Deluo Tianxian? It was indeed the case at that time. The disciples spent 3 million years with him to tidy up Mount Buzhu and were with him every day. There is no way he could be mistaken. Although what Yun Zongzi said was conclusive, Yuan Tianzun didn't quite believe it. It takes 7 Yuan Hui time to go from Deluo realm to attaining the holy status. This is too fast. You need to know that as a descendant of Pangu, with noble blood and top-notch qualifications, he also spent 10 Yuan Hui. Most likely Su Junming deliberately hid it and showed off to others as the great Luo celestial immortal. Yun Zongzi didn't cultivate enough and didn't see through it, Yuan Tianzun thought to himself. With his arrogance, he couldn't admit that there was no one in the world whose qualifications were above his own. Except for Tais Hang and Tong Tian, who are both Sanking. Since you have been dating Su Junming for many years, what is his temperament like? He hates evil as much as he hates it, he has a deep city, he can pity mortals, he has no prejudice against humans, witches, and demons, and he can treat them fairly. After a pause and hesitation, he said, he's a little defensive. Of course, he protects his shortcomings, otherwise he wouldn't kill the ancestor of Styx. This is all my disciple can think of. Yuan Tianzun nodded. Have you contacted him since he became a saint? No. Let's get in touch and see what his attitude is towards my interception. Yes. There was hesitation on Yun Zongzi's face. If you have anything to say, say it. After nodding, when my disciple and true monarch Chongshan were repairing Buzhu Mountain, they discovered a top-quality innate spiritual treasure in a valley, called the Qinqin Ruler, but it was taken away by Patriarch Randeng. Speaking of this matter, Yuan Tianzun remembered it instantly. At that time, he didn't care about Su Junming at all, he just made a Zhao Dan sword to appease Yun Zongzi. Unexpectedly, he didn't take it to heart at that time. He thought he was just an ordinary Deluo Xiaoxiu. After 7 Yuan Hui, he grew up to be a saint who could be equal to him. Does Su Junming hate this matter deeply? Yuan Tianzun asked with a frown. Although he did not think Su Junming was his opponent, he was not willing to offend a saint for nothing. His palace is very deep and he didn't show much hatred in his words. However, the disciple felt guilty and compensated him with the human whip he received from Nuwa. What? You gave him the whip? Yun Zongzi quickly explained, the Qinqin ruler was discovered by both of us at the same time, but was taken away by Uncle Randeng. As a person who explains the teaching, the disciple is also jointly and severally responsible. As a result, the master gave the Zayadan sword to compensate the disciple, but fellow Taoists Su got nothing. The disciple couldn't get the Qinqin ruler back, so he had to make a human whip to compensate. Only the human creating whip can be compared with the ultimate innate spiritual treasure, the Qinqin ruler. After a pause, Yun Zongzi changed the topic. However, fellow Taoists Su only took the body of the human creating whip, the gourd vine, and instead returned the human creating virtues in it to his disciples. Oh! Yuan Tianzun looked surprised. With a thought in Yun Zongzi's mind, 8 bronze pillars with bright golden light and lingering flames flew out from Baihui Point. The disciples used the merits of creating humans to practice the pillar of divine fire. Yuan Tianzun reached out and made a move, and 8 heaven-reaching divine fire pillars flew into his hands. After silently exploring for a moment, he allowed Yun Zongzi to take them back. Why didn't Su Junming want this merit of creating a human being? Yuanshi Tianzun couldn't understand. Merit is essential for any monk who establishes a section with the suppression of meritorious spiritual treasures. The sect can have a long-lasting foundation and many talents can emerge. This is also the reason why disciples of the three religions of Renji Chan go deep into the human race to accumulate merit. In comparison, although the innate gourd vine is extraordinary, its vitality has withered and it is just a piece of top-notch Yumu spiritual material. What surprised Yuanshi Tianzun even more was that Su Junming could actually separate the merits of creation from the gourd vine. This means that the other party has extremely high weapon refining ability. Master Qi, fellow Taoist Su likes to collect all kinds of spiritual roots. This was the case when he was in Buzhu Mountain. In his opinion, the value of the innate gourd vine is higher than the merits of creating humans. Yuanshi Tianzun nodded and pondered for a moment. Go to Kailan Cliff, take a branch of Huazao, and take a few Lingzhu grass and Baikekong with you, and go to Buzhu Mountain to find out Su Junming's attitude towards my teachings. Disciple, obey. Go ahead. After Yun Zongzi bowed and saluted, he turned around and walked out. Watching him leave, Yuanshi Tianzun pondered for a while. Hiro Yukiko. Hearing the master's call, Guangquanzi did not dare to neglect and hurriedly stepped forward to prostrate himself. Teacher. You are my direct disciple. You have been a disciple for many years, but your cultivation is behind your junior brother Yun Zongzi. The disciple is ashamed and asks the teacher to punish him. Guangquanzi felt that he had worked very hard, but he was always trapped in the realm of Deluo Jingxian, unable to make any progress. Seeing Yun Zongzi, a younger junior disciple who had started his career later and still a registered disciple, come up from behind, he was just as anxious. But the more urgent it becomes, the harder it is to break through. If it weren't for the protection of various treasures given by Yuanshi Tianzun, it would almost become an inner demon. If punishing you is useful, I won't let you stand here. Hearing this, Guangquanzi lowered his head. Seeing his frightened look, Yuanshi Tianzun did not criticize him anymore. After all, he is his direct disciple, so he cannot be criticized too harshly. I have discussed with your great uncle. The establishment of the human emperor clan will be presided over by me, Chan Xiao. You are the second generation chief of my Chan Xiao, so I will give this task to you. Guangquanzi raised his head instantly, his face full of excitement. Teach the human emperor to represent merit, a huge amount of human merit. Although it cannot improve Taoism, it can increase magic power. After leaving Kunlun Mountain, you immediately rush to the eastern wasteland. There is a large river in the northwest called Jishui, which is occupied by the Xiong clan. The Renhuang clan is the place where the Xiong clan chief Xiaodian and his wife attached treasures. The eldest son Ji Xianyuan. As Yuanshi Tianzun waved his hand, a jade slip fell into Guangquanzi's hand. The skills in the jade slips can be passed down to Ji Xianyuan. A disciple will never disappoint his teacher. Guangquanzi said solemnly and spoke excitedly. I have given you the opportunity. I hope you will practice well, teach Ji Xianyuan, and reach the realm of Hunyuan as soon as possible. With the expectations of Yuanshi Tianzun, Guangquanzi left Kunlun Mountain. At this time, Su Junming also came to the coast of the East China Sea according to his divination. He is still wearing a coarse green robe, with a gold rope tied around his waist, and a green gourd hanging from his waist. His long black hair is tied up by a gold ring and hangs casually on the back of his head. The hand in his hand is still the same one that has accompanied him to the ends of the world, from the earth to the immortal world. The prehistoric green bamboo stick. There is a green cow under its butt, stepping on the clouds and walking thousands of miles. Su Junming has a special liking for cattle. Whenever he needs one, he will randomly grab one to use as a mount. From the original Kuei ox, to the scalper transferred to Zhang Shinian, and then to this green ox, everything is like this. Su Junming, who was lying on his back, had a leisurely demeanor, full of the aura of a fairy. "Master, a group of humans are coming in front. Don't worry about it." After King Nu understood, he didn't speak again. Not long after, the sound of chaotic hooves, like thunder, came from afar. "This is a group of fierce knights riding on deer." He was nearly 10 feet tall, with his exposed chest bulging high, and his strong muscles reflecting his explosive power. The muscles are strong and the hands are thick, carrying heavy weapons such as long knives and giant axes. The rough face polished by wind and frost is full of evil spirit. Together with the animal teeth hanging on the neck, it is full of the fierceness and bravery of the tribal warriors in the primitive era. Any one of these physically powerful warriors can kill a Yuan Shen monk. What's even more exaggerated is that they sit on a giant deer. Nearly 2 feet tall, with thick limbs wrapped in strong muscles, full of powerful explosive power. The 2 antlers on the head are curved and extremely sharp. The thick bronze covers the deer's head. You can imagine how amazing this big guy's charging power must be. Become a disciple of Taoist priest Four Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 1090. Yu. The knights pulled the reins and subconsciously tightened their legs on the deer's back. They stopped the sitting giant deer without the need for saddles or pedals. At the front, the knight with the most powerful aura and a scar on his left face waved his hand, and the knights behind him quickly dispersed, surrounding Su Junming. "Vunichi Refiner, we are warriors of the Julai tribe, so we won't stay here." Su Junming waved his green bamboo stick. "Certainly." Dozens of powerful Julai warriors were instantly sealed. With a flick of his fingers, invisible force pushed the Julai warriors blocking the way aside and out of the way. "Not leaving yet." King Nu didn't dare to neglect and hurriedly set off on the road. Su Junming glanced at the Julai warrior next to him and left. This is not the first time he has encountered soldiers of the Julai tribe. These guys are strong, tough, and aggressive, and they are also very rough in their dealings. Su Junming was too lazy to waste time with them and sealed it directly. After about an hour, the seals on these warriors were naturally lifted. They have a high self-esteem and are easily subdued by others, so they naturally feel uncomfortable. The leader of the scarred warriors had a sullen face. "Go back and report this to the clan leader." After the knights nodded, they got on the deer and ran straight towards the way they came. The thunderous sound of hooves quickly faded away. At this time, Su Junming, riding a green bull, had arrived in front of a big city. Su Junming was a little surprised when he looked at the many buildings with cornices and brackets surrounded by city walls. Although he used a large formation to seal off the Buzhu Mountain area and cut off the contact between the human race here and the outside world, many architectural arts, systems, and even ideas of the Buzhu Mountain human race inevitably spread to the outside world during the 7 Yuanhui years and were spread to the outside world. It affected the entire prehistoric period. Especially the Fuxi clan. Although Fuxi has been in seclusion in the Fire Cloud Cave all year round after becoming the emperor, the successors of the Fuxi clan still continue to dig out everything about the Buzhu Mountain human race. Urging the cattle forward, above the tall city gate. The 3-character divine pattern of Julai city is engraved on it. On both sides, soldiers wearing leather armor and holding large iron guns guarded the city gate dutifully. A dense flow of people walked along the official road, and the Julai tribesmen walked into the city with prey on their shoulders and hands. Give way to those in front." Accompanied by a rough voice, a strong man nearly 2 feet tall strode over, carrying a black-skinned wild boar that was 10 feet long and weighed tens of thousands of kilograms. "Hey, such a big black pig might turn into a big monster." "Definitely, look at this guy's death. His vitality is floating in the sky, he must be a great demon who has become an immortal. This man can kill such a powerful black pig, so his martial arts skills must be extraordinary. Of course. Look at that man's belt. This is our Julai kingdom's sacred ox soldier. whoever can become a sacred ox soldier is not a true martial arts immortal. It would be great if I could also be among the sacred cow soldiers. After hearing the discussion, Su Junming subconsciously looked towards the strong man's waist, and a bronze medal about the size of an adult's palm came into view. On the front of the bronze medal is a relief sculpture of a bull's head and a human body, and on the back is the three-character sacred pattern of Sacred Bull Soldier. This bronze medal is not just a decoration, but a small magic weapon. The restrictions inside are not complicated. In addition to identifying identities, they are also used for sound transmission. So this is the Sacred Cow Soldier. Along the way, he also learned a lot about the Julai people. In addition to ordinary soldiers, Julai Kingdom also has two powerful soldiers. The first one is called Sacred Ox Soldiers. Looking at the man just now, you can tell that the divine ox soldiers are strong men with arms that can run horses, can capture dragons in the sea, and become true immortals in martial arts. The other one is Suanyao. Su Junming encountered some on the way. They are all beings who have become immortals by practicing Suanman Taoism. Can be understood as warriors and mages. After experiencing the incident in front of the city gate, Su Junming urged the cow to walk towards the city. In order to avoid trouble, he directly used the space method to cover his figure. After entering the city, there is no urn, just the main road running through the city. As far as I could see, most of them were strong men nearly 10 feet tall. There are even men over 10 feet tall. Although the human race in the prehistoric era is relatively tall due to their dense spiritual energy, they are only about 2 meters at most. There are very few people like the Julai tribe who start out as tall as 1 foot. As expected, he is a human witch hybrid. Although the witch bloodline is already very weak, it still surpasses other human tribes in terms of physical fitness. While browsing the scenery of Julai City, I unknowingly approached the royal city in the center. After asking Qing Niu to stop, Su Junming spread his left palm. A jade talisman emerged from the palm of his hand, and a rich light bloomed, making it look like a light bulb. With the magic power raised, the jade talisman seemed to sense something and quickly flew towards the royal city. Catch up. King Niu didn't dare to neglect and quickly followed. Su Junming used the space method to cover up, passed through the restrictions of the royal city, and came inside. Then, led by Yufu, they headed straight to the rear. Soon they arrived outside a tall stone palace. At this time, the jade talisman was already as bright as the scorching Sunday. If Su Junming hadn't used the space method to cover it up, it would have alarmed the entire Julai city. Seeing the jade talisman disappearing into the stone palace like lightning, Su Junming waved his sleeves. The powerful restriction sealed the entire hall instantly. Urge the green cow to go in. A wide space appears in front of you. There are many restrictions here, with swords, guns, swords and halberds placed on both sides, as well as large and small stone locks of different specifications. A jade talisman like the scorching sun rested on the head of a strong young man. At this moment, he was examining this sudden thing with curiosity and caution. Next to him, a strong man who was over 10 feet tall, wearing a coarse cloth gown, animal skin boots, and a delicate jade pendant hung around his waist. He had a restrained aura and was as strong as a martial arts god general. He looked at the jade talisman warily. Judging from his attire, he has a very high status within the Julai tribe. This is also a certain thing. The martial arts god general is equivalent to the Daluo monk. He is an absolute high-level person among any force in the ancient world. Who? The martial arts god general shouted angrily, turned his head suddenly, opened his eyes wide, and looked straight at Su Junming with a sharp gaze. You are quite vigilant. As soon as he finished speaking, the martial arts god general punched him. Moo! The desolate roar of the bull shook the entire space, and the abundant energy and blood turned into a huge bull's head, which struck Su Junming like lightning with the power of destroying mountains. It was obvious that he planned to strike first and catch the opponent off guard. Unfortunately, he misjudged his opponent. Looking at the fist, Su Junming's mouth burst into laughter. Certainly. The menacing strong man seemed to be frozen instantly, unable to move at all regardless of his magic power or body. With a gentle wave of the bamboo stick, the strong man's ferocious punch instantly dissipated, and his body flew to the side. Looking at the burly young man with a wary face not far away, Su Junming stretched out his hand, and a spiritual light flew into his body before the other party could react. The latter felt a shock in his head and soon passed out. The next moment, a trace of spiritual energy flew out of his body. Under the influence of Su Junming's soul magic talisman, a huge black turtle with a dragon head, a turtle body and a snake tail, covered with merit and golden light, flew out from the depths of his soul. Found it? Roar. A trace of deep resentment flew out of the turtle's soul, causing the big guy to roar again and again. If the powerful golden light of merit had not always suppressed the resentment, I am afraid that the soul of this black turtle would have fallen into the devil's way in an instant. His brows furrowed. What a strong resentment. Follow the connection between the soul and the soul to awaken the Tiangong Taoist. I found the person you wanted. The obese Taoist Tiangong rushed over quickly. Looking at the burly young man who passed out on the ground. It's him. That's right. It's him, Chi Yu, the current young master of the Julai tribe in the eastern wasteland. There was a sigh in Su Junming's tone, and he did not expect that the person he was looking for was Chi Yu. Chi Yu. That Chi Yu, the ancestor of soldiers who competed with the Yellow Emperor for the world. You are not mistaken, are you? The soul of the black turtle is of the water attribute, and Chi Yu is a witch who inherits the bloodline of Liao Sheng. How can the two be mixed together? Su Junming stretched out his hand and said, see for yourself. Staring at the roaring black turtle soul deep in Chi Yu's soul, Tiangong Taoist frowned tightly. It is indeed Chi Yu, but the soul of this black turtle has so much resentment. Suengi was originally the perfect chaos god and demon of Hunyuan Xianxian, and he was independent of the world and practiced with peace of mind. As a result, innocent people were killed, and the resentment was naturally strong, Su Junming said. Speaking of which, Hung Jun is still easy to calculate. The black turtle Yuanling is powerful, and the reincarnated body must have extraordinary qualifications and fast cultivation. And the powerful merits also gave him the opportunity to become the human emperor of the medieval human race, but deep in his soul, resentment suppresses merit, making him always a little worse than Ji Xianyuan. Coupled with the help of Suanmen and the reincarnation of Suengi, Chi Yu is almost the best whetstone for Ji Xianyuan to ascend to the position of human emperor. You have missed something, Taoist Tiangong said calmly. Chi Yu will die eventually, and there is a high probability that the ending of his next life will be the same. Only in the continuous reincarnation, the soul of Xian Turtle will become weaker and weaker. Until the day his resentment dissipates. When the resentment dissipates, the merit will disappear, Su Junming said with a smile. In the Battle of the Gods, the leader of Tongtian destroyed the world with the immortal killing sword formation, directly reshaping the prehistoric world. The so-called pillar that supports the sky will most likely be abandoned. Without the merits that support the sky, the black turtle will only become weaker and weaker in the future, and finally become ordinary. Looking at the silent Taoist Tiangong. What do you think? Are you still planning to take on a disciple? Of course, he turned to look directly at Su Junming. Don't tell me that with your cultivation of the divine soul, you can't peel away the resentment deep in his soul. Haha, how is that possible? It just takes some time, Su Junming said confidently. Suengi was a Hunyuan Xianxian at his peak, and now he is also a Hunyuan Xianxian in the way of the soul. Coupled with the assistance of the Dian divine mirror, the resentment in his soul is stripped away. He is better than Hung Jun and Nu, who do not understand the way of the soul. WA is 1,000 times stronger. But Chi Yu is the ancestor of soldiers. I think in this life, he has embarked on the path of body refining of the Wu clan, which is completely opposite to your way of heavenly craftsmanship and creation. Tiangong Taoist shook his head. The Wu clan's way of forging the body is not suitable for him. The black turtle is a water-moving chaotic god and demon. Water, which moistens all things, contains the true meaning of creation, and Tiangong is also creation. Therefore, he is suitable for practicing the Dao of creation or the Dao of Tiangong. I think it's a work of God. It's really weird that Chu, the ancestor of the army, turned into the Guanyin Bodhisattva. Su Junming said. Your preconceptions. The topic changed, but no matter how good the work of heaven is, there is a saying that if the master has something to do, the disciple will do his duty in the future. I will not have to do the work alone when refining elixirs and weapons. You're lazy. I do. Su Junming was too lazy to pay attention to him. I have found the person for you. You can convince him to become your teacher. This is easy. You first send him to the Chaos Divine Stone, my true body. Su Junming nodded, stretched out his hand, and the tyrannical power of the soul invaded Qi Yu's soul, quickly turning over his memory. The gap between the two sides was too big. Although it was a soul search, it did no harm to Qi Yu. The more intense the resistance, the greater the damage to the soul. What are you doing? Tiangong Taoist asked. Qi Yu left with you, but he couldn't be noticed by the people here. You need to know that he is a chess piece arranged by Mr. Hung Jun himself. How could he not pay attention? Moreover, the Wu clan has also targeted the Julai tribe and spread the news here. Witchcraft. If Qi Yu disappears, I'm afraid it will cause an uproar. Therefore, Qi Yu cannot disappear and must grow up according to the script planned by Mr. Hung Jun. Tiangong Taoist understood the importance and allowed Su Junming to do whatever he wanted. All right. After saying this, he activated the space cord to open the space channel and threw Qi Yu in. I'm going back. The figure of Tiangong Taoist slowly disappeared. He himself is a projection of the soul. After the silence returned to the main hall, Su Junming spread his right hand, and a wisp of blue-black mist appeared in his palm. This is the spiritual energy of Qi Yu that he left behind on purpose just now. After taking a deep breath and calming down, Su Junming fluttered his hands, derived countless seals, and the mysterious destiny talisman in his dantian shone brightly. My heart is the heart of heaven. Su Junming used his will to completely reverse Qi Yu's fate. It was inevitable that someone would find out, so I made some efforts to cover it up. Unless someone is better than him in Destiny Dao cultivation and has a treasure that surpasses the Dian Divine Mirror, don't try to figure out the facts. Su Junming's destiny path has broken through Hunyuan. In the entire prehistoric world, the person most likely to be compared with him is Hung Jun. But Hung Jun may not have a treasure comparable to the Dian Mirror. After doing this, Su Junming's heart moved, and he activated his Ruyi body, which had not been used for a long time, and transformed into Qi Yu's appearance, allowing him to practice the witchcraft skills. With him covering it up, unless the saint is in front of you, you won't be able to tell the truth. With a wave of the bamboo stick, the restrictions around the stone palace were immediately lifted, and at the same time, the seal of the god general next to him was also released. With a flick of his finger, a ray of spiritual light flew into his sea of consciousness, forcibly erasing his memory. After his consciousness dispersed and he made sure that his whereabouts were not exposed, Su Junming left Qi Yu, who was here to watch over the transformation of Ruyi's body, and returned to the Chaos Divine Stone to start practicing. As long as he cultivates his magic power to the level of Hunyuan True Immortal, he can start preparing to overcome the catastrophe of Hunyuan Xianxian. When he becomes the Hunyuan Xianxian and practices a few Yuan Hui, he will be sure to become the Hunyuan Golden Immortal before becoming a god. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 1091. An 18th grade green lotus that is as huge as 10,000 feet tall stands proudly in the chaos, and the endless chaotic spiritual energy is absorbed and refined by it. Under the tyrannical charm of creation, a rich spiritual energy of creation was emitted, condensed into water, gathered into a lake, and surrounded Qinglian. Looking from a distance, the clouds cover the fog, making the green lotus look even more holy. In the middle of the green lotus, a young man with a height of nearly 10 feet, wearing trousers and a naked upper body, with long hair shawl, sat cross-legged. Opposite him was a Taoist wearing a green robe with a green gourd tied around his waist. It was Su Junming. After a while, the shirtless young man opened his eyes. Bow down and prostrate. Thank you, uncle. After smiling and nodding. Chi-yu, the resentment in your soul has been completely eradicated. You will no longer have the power to become a demon in the future. You can practice with peace of mind. So, I can survive the Great Tribulation, Chi-yu said happily. After thousands of years of practice, he has reached the perfection of Tai Golden Immortal, but his teacher, Taoist Master Tiangong, was afraid that the innate resentment in his soul would affect his mind and make it difficult to survive the inner demon catastrophe, so he never allowed him to survive the Great Loto Tribulation. Now that the grievances have been resolved by the Great Uncle, he can finally advance. Good. Thank you, Uncle. If it weren't for your help, Master wouldn't have known how long it would have been before he allowed me to escape the tribulation. Your master is also doing it for your own good. As soon as he finished speaking, the fat Taoist Tiangong figure wearing a yellow Taoist robe suddenly appeared. Chi-yu quickly came forward to pay homage. Teacher. Taoist Tiangong, who looked majestic, nodded after looking at it for a moment. Now that we have broken through, let's go through the tribulation. Yes. There was expectation in Chi-yu's expression. Su Junming saw this and threw out the bamboo stick in his hand. The green, finger-thick bamboo stick came to the chaos and grew rapidly. In just a moment, it had grown to tens of millions of feet. It sprouted branches and sprouted, opening up the surrounding chaotic aura and creating a space that spanned tens of millions of miles. Go ahead. Tiangong Taoist waved his sleeves, and a huge force picked up Chi-yu and flew in. Chi-yu, who had not yet advanced to Hunyuan, could not withstand the violent energy of chaos. In this chaotic boulder filled with chaotic aura, their help is still needed. When he came to the bamboo stick space, without the interference of the chaotic spiritual energy, Chi-yu, who had already accumulated it to the limit, soon caused a disaster. With his qualifications, coupled with systematic teachings and abundant spiritual energy, it only took him 700 years to reach the perfection of Tai Golden Immortal. In the next 300 years, in addition to resolving the grievances deep in his soul, he achieved enlightenment. Nowadays, his understanding of Tiangong Dao is comparable to that of Deluo True Immortal. Although he does not have the help of Dian Divine Mirror, he is still fully confident. Boom! Rolling calamity energy flew in, and bursts of thunder gathered. Staring at Leiji, who now seemed to be a child, Su Junming said calmly. After he advances to Deluo, let him leave here and return to the Julai tribe. Tiangong Taoist frowned. You want him to return to that place of right and wrong? Haven't you already changed his fate? Of course it has been changed, but it is not the right time to alarm Hung Jun. In addition, Chi-yu also needs experience, otherwise the flowers in a greenhouse cannot withstand wind and rain and will never become a big climate. Of course Tiangong Taoist understands this truth. If we let him go back to Julai, what about the battle of chasing deer? How to deal with it? Su Junming patted the bag on his waist, and a stream of light flew out. This is a body that is 3 feet tall, with the head of an ox and a human body, 6 arms on its back, muscles all over its body, and full of rich blood and evil energy. Great witch. Su Junming nodded. This is a physical body that I used a little of Chi Yu's essence and blood to create according to the secret cultivation methods of the Wu clan. Its strength is equivalent to that of Deluo Jingxian. With his current cultivation and realm of the Dao of creation, he could also shape the physical body of the Wu clan in the Hunyuan realm, but it would take too much time, and Chi Yu wouldn't be able to use it for a while. With a thought in my heart, I shared some memories with Taoist Tiangong. Combining Hung Jun's 3-corpse killing secret technique, as well as the wishful body, time body, and other clone secret techniques, during this period of time, I have perfected my sex 3-corpse killing technique, which is similar to Tai's Hangla Jun's 1 Qi transforms the 3 pure states. At that time, Qi Yu can be allowed to practice these secret techniques, and then master the physical body of the witch clan, so as to show it to others and participate in the battle for the human emperor. At that time, I will give him another spiritual treasure that can hide his soul. It will match the fate I changed for him. I will ensure that no one will see the clues. After Tiangong Dao pondered for a moment, he nodded. Since you have carefully considered it, then so be it. After the tribulation has stabilized, you can send him back to the Chi Yu clan. My past body will be waiting for him there. No. Su Junming looked at the 18th grade good luck green lotus at his feet. You really made a good baby out of me. Speaking of this, Taoist Tiangong couldn't help but show a satisfied smile on his face. Thanks to it, otherwise my path of creation would not be so easy to reach the Hunyuan Golden Immortal. After Su Junming nodded, he activated the Dian Divine Mirror and could see 2 milky white powerful restrictions inside the creation Qinglian. The strength and mystery of this restriction clearly exceed the Hunyuan level. The rich charm of the Tao of creation radiates out, and through the mirror light, one can clearly feel the comfort brought by the Tao of creation that penetrates deep into the soul. Now he is finally convinced that his Dian Divine Mirror is indeed the Hongmeng Supreme Treasure, and the prohibition in it is similar to the prohibition in the Qinglian of the 18th grade creation. However, the Dian Divine Mirror with 5 restrictions inside it is much more powerful than the 18th grade Fortune Green Lotus with only 2 restrictions. Except for the Dian Divine Mirror, this is the second Hongmeng treasure in our hands, Su Junming said. There will be more to come. You are very confident. Why, are you preparing for the Hunyuan Golden Immortal Tribulation? Of course. My magic power and body have already reached the level of Hunyuan Xianxian. I have advanced to the level of Hunyuan Golden Immortal. There is no need to stay any longer, Tiangong Taoist said. Su Junming overhauled his hand, and the endless spiritual water of creation floated away from below, revealing a huge skull below. However, blood and flesh are gradually growing on the skull, and it looks as if the skin and flesh have just been peeled off, which is a bit scary. A spine grew out from deep inside the head. It wasn't quite long, but it was already a good start. Looking at the current progress, at most 3 yuan we can shape Pangu's physical body. Tiangong Taoist nodded. Thanks to the 18th grade good luck Qinglian, otherwise it wouldn't be that easy. Can you sense the location of the black lotus of destruction? 4 lotuses bloom in the sky. The green lotus of creation was divided into 3 parts and was obtained by Sanking. Su Junming got 1/3. Tai's Hangla Jun and Yuan Shi Tianzun were not easy to mess with, so they could only leave it to figure out a solution later. The 12th grade blood lotus has become the nourishment for the 18th grade blue lotus. The 12th grade golden lotus is in the hands of Taoist Jian, and it is difficult to plan for the time being. Only the 12th grade black lotus has disappeared since Luo Hu's death. It is also the only lotus they can plan now. If you can get the black lotus, you can go one step further with the 18th level creation green lotus. The power of creation will be stronger, and the time required to rebuild Pangu's body will be shorter. I can vaguely sense some, but I am sure that the black lotus of destruction should be divided into 2 parts. One part is in the prehistoric world, and the other part is outside the prehistoric world. Beyond the wilderness. Tiangong Taoist nodded affirmatively. So, Luo who is not completely dead. The existence that can compete with Hung Jun, Taoist Qinkan, and Taoist Xiantian, especially those who die so easily. Most of them have left behind a backup plan. Su Junming nodded, first plan the Black Lotus in the wilderness. As for the outside, it won't be too late to wait until you break through the Hunyuan Golden Immortal Queen before taking action. It's best to wait until I break through the Hunyuan Golden Immortal before taking action. Among the 4 lotuses in the sky, except for the 12th grade creation green lotus that has been divided, the other lotuses are all sensitive to each other. If the black lotus of destruction is touched, Rahu they'll probably find you. Your Pangareel body may not be able to stop him. Tiangong Taoist's proposal was more prudent, and considering that he was already on the verge of a breakthrough, he agreed. With a wave of his hand, the green bamboo staff, the portable cave, the storage gourd, and the phantom of the Dian mirror flew towards Taoist Tiangong. You can give these things to Qi Yu after he survives the catastrophe. Tiangong Taoist did not refuse. After all, he is his apprentice. As an uncle, don't you give me some precious treasures for self-protection. Su Junming rolled his eyes. Can't you practice on your own? Do you still need me? How can it be the same? I am the master and you are the uncle. I believe you are the only one who has ghosts. The light flew up and disappeared in an instant. In the huge chaotic boulder space, Tiangong Taoist's 2-headed black turtle occupies a small half of the area. The once giant monster of the underworld has been eaten up and wiped clean by Su Junming's 20-faced god and demon flag. In the extra space, a huge willow tree stands, and the powerful spatial rhyme can be clearly sensed through the chaos. That is the hollow willow of Yangmei. Not far from Yangmei, there is a green bamboo tree that is hundreds of millions of feet tall. The green bamboo joints absorb the surrounding chaotic spiritual energy, and the aura of the highest grade acquired spiritual roots on the body is gradually fading away. A bit of innate immortal aura began to condense deep in the bamboo joints. Obviously, under the support of endless chaotic energy, the azure immortal bamboo given to Zhang Shinian by Su Junming has transformed into the best innate spiritual root. In addition to the azure immortal bamboo, there is also a peach tree not far away that is tens of millions of feet tall. It is also an acquired spiritual root of the highest quality, but compared to Zhang Shinian's azure immortal bamboo, this peach tree has a strong acquired aura and is still far from transformation. Under the peach tree, a woman wearing a light cyan dress and a red phoenix crown sat cross-legged. Feng Zhanjian and Su Junming were the first among many named disciples in the prehistoric times to break through the Hunyuan existence. Although he has been able to absorb the spiritual energy of chaos after breaking through Hunyuan, the Qi refiner is not as good as the martial saint. His body is not strong enough to stay in chaos for a long time, let alone absorb the spiritual energy of chaos for a long time. Therefore, a top-quality innate or acquired spiritual root can transform the violent chaotic spiritual energy into innate spiritual energy, which is very necessary for the Qi refiner who is new to Hunyuan. Moreover, being blessed by spiritual roots can also provide a place to rest after practicing. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist Priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 1092. Looking at the 3 disciples from a distance, Yang Mei's cultivation level has returned to Hunyuan Xianxian, which is higher than his master. After all, he was a person who had cultivated to the level of Hunyuan Golden Immortal. He didn't need to consider Taoism and only cultivated magic power. As expected, his cultivation speed was much faster than that of a newbie like him who was a master. Although Zhang Shinian is a little behind, he has awakened from his past life and inherited the Taoism of the Yushao family. Now he has reached the level of Hunyuan Celestial Immortal and has begun to prepare to survive the thunder tribulation of Hunyuan True Immortal. In contrast, Feng Zhangling, like him, had no outstanding past life and could only practice step by step. Now that he has just stabilized his realm, he is considered to be a serious Hunyuan celestial immortal in the early stage, and his strength is almost the same as that of Ran Den Taoist. It seems that I should prepare to overcome the tribulation earlier, otherwise my face will look ugly after being surpassed by my own disciples. Finally, he glanced at Yang Mei, activated the space cord, and returned to the prehistoric world. Instead of going to Donghuang, he came to Bihai. The North Sea in the prehistoric world is the same as the Arctic in the Chinese world. Only a few areas are covered by sea water, and most areas are covered by thick ice caps. In particular, the location of the North Pole remains unchanged all year round. Because of the cold, there are far fewer creatures here than in other places, but in the cold and harsh environment, more powerful individuals can be born. Just like the black turtle of the past, it had a huge body and its limbs could be used to support the world. After the death of Suanqi, the only strong person in the Arctic was Kunpeng, the master of the Demon Master Palace in the depths of the Arctic. This master of the demon clan, who was once second only to the Eastern Emperor Tai, the Demon Emperor Jun, the Emperor 11 Fuxi, and the Emperor Nuwa in the ancient demon court, was also a being who almost became a saint among the 3,000 guests of the Zixiao Palace. His cultivation level is high enough to rank alongside the great masters such as Ancestor Minghe, Great God Lazi, Zhen Yuanzi, Jushin Suanv, and Queen Mother of the West. Kun's innate ability to enter the water level and fly like a pen is even more famous in ancient times. It is precisely because of this powerful suppression that in the entire Bihai, except for the Bihai Dragon clan, there are few forces that can compare with it. Even the Dragon clan is far behind. However, on this day, a powerful escaping light seemed to change shape and came outside the Demon Master Palace like lightning. The light dissipated, and a middle-aged Taoist wearing a yellow Taoist robe, an iron crown on his head, holding a jade pole, with a clear face and 3 strands of long beard on his chin, appeared in the air. It was Zhen Yuanzi, who had been preparing for tens of thousands of years. Staring at the gorgeous palace located on a huge rock on the seabed in the distance, it looks like a Dragon Clan crystal palace. Old friend Hong Yun, watch me avenge you. With a strong wave of Yahuan, a myriad of auras transformed into a mountain hundreds of millions of feet high, covered with giant green trees. Boom! The light from the Demon Master Palace surged, and the defensive formations tried their best to resist it. It's a pity that Zhen Yuanzi became ruthless and used all his strength as soon as he started. The formation was prepared and unprepared, and the formation was not fully activated. It could not stop Zhen Yuanzi's heavy blow with his great magical power. Kaka. Accompanied by continuous crackling sounds and booms, the formation shattered and a large number of palaces were crushed. Many Demon Master Palace disciples were crushed into pulp by the heavy power of earth element before they had time to struggle, and even all the spirits were killed, leaving only the true spirit to return to heaven and earth. Roar. Amidst the earth-shattering roar, a thick ice-blue divine light soared into the sky. The rapidly falling giant mountain was quickly held up. After a moment of stalemate, a violent impact shattered the giant mountain and rose up. The tyrannical ice-blue divine light rushed straight towards Zhen Yuanzi. From a distance of thousands of feet, the divine light was certain, and it manifested into a middle-aged man wearing a crane cloak, with a thin face, prominent cheekbones, and the image of an eagle and a rock. Year man. His sharp eyes were full of anger. Zhen Yuanzi, why did you destroy my demon master's palace? In ancient times, you, together with Dong Huang Tai and ancestor Ming He, killed my old friend Hong Yun for the sake of Hong Mengziki. It's a pity that the old Taoist master is not strong enough and has never been able to avenge him. To this day, both Dong Huang Tai and Ming He have returned to the underworld. It's really reincarnation and retribution. Today, the old Taoist came to the door in order to fully understand you, the murderer, and avenge my old friend Hong Yun. Suffer death. With a wave of the jade pole in his hand, the boundless giant tree rushed straight towards Kunpeng like a tidal wave bursting from a dike. The latter opened his left hand, revealing a blue trident. As he waved, the violent water flow flew straight towards the giant tree like a volcano erupting. Boom! It was like thousands of bombs exploding at the same time. Billions of tons of water rose into the sky, and hundreds of layers of ice that had not melted were instantly shattered by the violent impact. The mighty spiritual energy fluctuations instantly attracted attention from all directions. Zhen Yuanzi and Kunpeng were both born from ancient times and were great powers who became enlightened in ancient times. Now they are all at the level of Hunyuan Xianxian. When he moves his hands, although he is not as good as a saint, it is still earth-shattering. Zhen Yuanzi, it's a pity that I didn't kill this old turtle like you back then, and it's still causing trouble today. Stop talking nonsense, it's just a matter of death today. Zhen Yuanzi waved his jade pole, and the falling trees were like dragons and snakes passing through the sky, entangled and strangled. The towering mountains fell from the sky, like comets falling, and the powerful impact shook hundreds of millions of miles. Of course Kunpeng is not bad either. With a wave of Fang Tian's painted halberd in his hand, thousands of waters follow him. With the instigation of the big cloak behind him, a rolling hurricane tears the sky and the earth apart. Both of them were contemporaries, and their cultivation levels were not much different. The fight was like a spark hitting the earth, and the entire North Sea was shaken. Countless creatures were running away like crazy. Many slow-moving giant beasts in the sea were killed directly. Hunyuan Suangxian's monk fighting skills can strangle De Luo Jingxian even if it is just the aftermath. Su Junming was hundreds of millions of miles away, and the thick space barrier blocked the wild waves outside. Watching Zhen Yuanzi and Patriarch Kunpeng fighting madly, I sighed secretly in my heart. Zhen Yuanzi is really a kind gentleman who knows how to repay his kindness and is willing to risk his life to avenge his old friend. If he were in Zhen Yuanzi's position, he might not have the same courage. Of course, Zhen Yuanzi is not only brave. Seeing that he has never used the Yuan to Nabi swords, we know that they are prepared to kill with one blow at the critical moment. However, if Kunpeng's mana is not consumed as much as possible, even Yuan to Abi may not be able to break through Hichuluashu's defense. There are 12 major caves in the prehistoric period: Buzhu, Huoyun, Wangguo, Weiyu, Zikan, Zixuan, Qingchang, Shikang, Luofu, Juk, Kuokang, and Linwuo. Among them, Buzhu Cave Heaven was destroyed in the ancient Lich War, and it took Su Junming 7 Yuanhui to completely repair it. Fire Cloud Cave is the scheduled dojo of the 3 emperors of the human race in the Middle Ages. Wangguoshan's Xiao Qingxiu Tian is the dojo of Master Suandu, the only direct disciple of Taking Sage of human section, but most of the time, Suandu was serving his teacher in Shaoyang Mountain, not Wangguo Mountain. Even so, no one dared to invade. After all, Saint Taking was the only direct disciple, and his status was too high. Weiyu Mountain, also known as the Heaven of Great Space and Ming, was originally the dojo of Bai Zi, one of the top 10 demon saints of the ancient demon clan. After the Lich War, the demon clan declined and withdrew from the 9 heavens. This became the main altar of the ancient demon clan. In the center of Weiyu Mountain Cave, there is a solemn and majestic hall. Sitting cross-legged were 3 beings with extraordinary auras. One of them was wearing a white robe, short and thin, with white beard and hair, and a misty breath. The one on the left is wearing a red cloak and a sarong crown, with sword-shaped eyebrows at the temples and a solemn expression. The one on the right is wearing a black robe, with long black hair hanging casually on his shoulders. He has a slender face and 9 black buns on his forehead. These 3 are the remaining 3 of the 10 demon saints in the ancient demon court: Baize, Shangyang, and Zhuying. Among them, Shangyang has the highest cultivation level, Hunyuan True Immortal. Bai Zi and Zhuying are both Hunyuan Celestial Immortals. Looking at the fierce battle in the water mirror, Zhuying said, "Who do you think will win this battle?" Bai Zi and Shangyang looked at each other and shook their heads at the same time. Don't you all have the gift of deducing secrets and predicting the future? Shangyang glanced at him. Predicting the future does not mean knowing everything. Moreover, these two are too highly cultivated and their fates are unpredictable. This battle is about matching opponents and meeting talented people. Anyone can win, even a saint is difficult to predict. But what? Don't play riddles, Zhu Ying said. But I sense that there is external interference in this war. As he spoke, he looked towards Bai Zi with questioning eyes. Although Shangyang also has the ability to predict the future, it is still inferior to Bai Zi. He nodded affirmatively. I also predicted external forces. Could it be that Emperor WA and Emperor 11 would still help the traitor? Zhu Ying asked. They, the ancient demon clan, did not have the slightest favorable impression of Kunpeng, who escaped from the battlefield and also took away the Emperor Jun's companion, the Lingbao River Toluashu. Huang 11 died in battle and is now reincarnated as the emperor of the human race. He will no longer care about our demon clan's affairs. Bai Zi sighed. None of the three demons had anything to say about this. Fuxi did not apologize to the demon clan. If he hadn't had a sister who had already attained the holy status, he would have died in ancient times like Dijun and Dong Huangtai. Fuxi has become loyal to the demon clan. Nuwa, as one of the demon emperors of the demon clan, did not hesitate to disobey Hung Jun's decree and rushed from the Emperor Wa's heaven to the wilderness. However, she was blocked by the three pure ones and the two saints of the west. The disparity in strength was too great, and they didn't catch up in the end. However, she did not let down the demon clan. Only the demon master Kunpeng took advantage of Emperor Jun's serious injury and took Hichu Luashu away when the fight between the witch clan and the demon clan reached a fever pitch. Without the protection of the heavy treasure, the latter was directly killed by Dijiang's close-up staff. Therefore, no one in the entire ancient demon clan sympathized with this guy. Emperor Wa has always been strong-willed. He didn't kill Kunpeng because of his long-term friendship. How could he help him? Zhu Ying said. It's not just the demon clan, the vastness of the prehistoric era is full of powerful people, Shangyang said. That's right. Especially that guy, who was greedy and shameless, and forcibly converted tens of thousands of my ancient demon clan members. If not for this, we would not have fallen to this, Zhu Ying said angrily. After the two demons finished speaking, they all looked at Bai Zi, who was always silent. Facing their gazes, Bai Zi said calmly. The external force may not be to help Kunpeng, but it may also be Zhenyuanzi. As soon as these words came out, both demons were shocked. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 1093. When it comes to Zhenyuanzi, no one in the prehistoric times knows about it. Everyone's impression of him is that he is powerful in Taoism and has a wide circle of friends. Especially the latter, although they may not have a few true friends among them, the possibility of getting help is far greater than that of the Kunpeng demon master who has renounced the demon clan. Thinking of this possibility, Bai Zi, Shangyang, and Zhu Ying all fell silent. Although he hated Kunpeng, there were not many of his colleagues in the ancient demon court who survived. But they were reluctant to help. For a while, the atmosphere was a little depressing. After a long time, Bai Zi sighed slightly. Don't think about it. Zhenyuanzi and Kunpeng are both powerful at the level of Hunyuan Xianxian. Even if we are willing to help, we can't get involved in a battle of this level. Shangyang and Zhu Ying raised their eyebrows. Indeed, they are just Hunyuan celestial immortals. Although he was a powerful Hunyuan power in ancient times, he was far behind Zhenyuanzi and Kunpeng. Bai Zi might be able to survive with his treasure, but they were just going to die. After thinking about this clearly, the two demons felt much less guilty. Fire Cloud Cave. The future three emperors dojo. Now, in addition to the yet-to-be-determined Renhuang clan, the Tianhuan clan Fuxi and the Daihuan clan Chenan have all secluded themselves here. Among them are many powerful people from the Fuxi clan and Chenan clan's era. There was too much noise during the life and death fight between Zhen Yuanzi and Kunpeng, and the two of them had already noticed the movement and watched from the water mirror. Seeing the change in Fuxi's expression, Sheneng's Zhongshan said, "Brother, if you want to help, you can go." Ever since Sheneng became the emperor of the earth and built the fire cloud cave in seclusion, the two of them have known each other as brothers. "No, I am now the emperor of the human race and have nothing to do with the demon race." Fuxi shook his head. He is not a fool. With the blood feud between the human race and the monster race, if he helps Kunpeng today, even if he is the emperor of the human race, he will be disappointed. 7 Yuan Hui's efforts were wasted. Zhongshan smiled. Fuxi's answer was as he expected. The declining demon race is destined to become the protagonist of the prehistoric times, and the human race with great fortune. Any wise person knows how to choose. "Brother, who do you think is better, Zhen Yuanzi or Kunpeng?" After pondering for a moment, he said, "The two have very different cultivation levels, but Zhen Yuanzi's Taoism is more profound. But Taoism alone is not enough for Zhen Yuanzi to completely establish victory. What about the treasures? You need to know that even 1 or 2 treasures can completely change the outcome. In this regard, Kunpeng was originally weak. He was born from the North Sea without any accompanying spiritual treasures. Later, he relied on the spiritual materials from the demon clan's heaven to create his own natal spiritual treasure, the demon master's palace, and built it in the East. Emperor Tai with the assistance, I practiced the Fen Hai halberd and Feng Ling cloak, both of which are mid-grade Hunyuan spiritual treasures. Although it's not bad, it lacks fundamental treasures. But now we have the ancient demon Emperor Jun's companion spirit treasure River Tuluashu, which makes up for this shortcoming." At this point, Fuxi paused. The tone fluctuated for a moment. Although he and Kunpeng didn't have a close friendship, they were both high-ranking members of the demon clan and knew each other quite well. Not having the final treasure has always been Kunpeng's worry. As the demon king, Dijun would rather reward the top 10 demon saints with the treasures in the demon court's treasure house than give 1 or 2 pieces to Kunpeng. Because of this matter, there were many conflicts between Kunpeng and Dijun. When the Lich battle raged, Emperor Jun was seriously injured, and when Hichuluasha fell in front of Kunpeng, the long-standing desire and the resentment in his heart broke out in an instant. Then there was the matter of grabbing the treasure and running away. Fuxi understood Kunpeng's choice, but that didn't mean he would forgive him. Of course, regardless of whether he forgives or not, everything about the demon clan has nothing to do with him. Compared to Kunpeng, Zhen Yuanzi has 2 accompanying treasures. One is the innate top-quality spiritual root ginseng fruit tree that is famous throughout the ancient world, and the other is the Book of the Earth, which is one of the membranes of the ancient world. The preciousness of the 2 treasures is all under Hichuluashu. Therefore, in terms of treasures, there is not much difference between the 2 sides. Zhongshan nodded. It seems that neither side has a powerful killing spirit treasure. There are not many killing spirit treasures, and they are all in the hands of experts who are no less powerful than them. They are so easy to obtain. The same conversation took place in Shaoyang Mountain, Kunlun Mountain, Jinao Island, and Sumi Mountain. The battle between one immortal and one demon has become fierce, and all the ice caps in the entire North Sea have been smashed into pieces. The originally calm sea water stirred up hundreds of millions of feet of waves. I don't know how many creatures died tragically in the aftermath of the battle between the 2 sides. Since the end of antiquity, when Black Turtle was killed, Bihai has never experienced such a fierce battle. Call out. With an angry roar, Kunpeng swung the sea-splitting halberd violently. Billions of miles of sea waves piled up in layers. The surging dark energy dragged Zhen Yuanzi, and his body shook and flew straight upward. In an instant, he left the North Sea and came into the air. He swung his body and turned into a huge and unrivaled Tianpeng with golden eyes and golden claws. His wings trembled and he flew towards the sky like lightning. Kunpeng, don't leave. Zhen Yuanzi chased after him. This madman. He never thought that Zhen Yuanzi, known as the good old man, had such a crazy side. But the more this happened, the more he wanted to leave. With Hichu Luoshu, the road ahead is clear. Even without Hongmengziki, and after practicing dozens of Yuanhui, he still has a chance to become a Hunyuan Golden Immortal. He is the same as a saint. There is no need to fight with Zhen Yuanzi here, he can't catch up with him anyway. In terms of speed, Kunpeng is still confident. In the ancient Lich War, no one could catch up with him except the perverted Dizhang. Looking at Kunpeng flying further and further away, Zhen Yuanzi snorted coldly. Run, how can I let you run away? His hands moved like the wind, and he drank from his mouth. Rise. The ancient earth trembled slightly, and a huge force of earth energy rose into the sky. In mid-air, a book shrouded in endless earth-moving spiritual light and larger than a mountain slowly unfolded. Book from the ground. Everyone understood. When it comes to defense and sealing capabilities, in the entire prehistoric era, apart from the three treasures of the open sky, the strongest one is the Book of the Earth, which is the membrane of the earth. Especially when it merges with the earth, even the saints' Taoism can be blocked. Therefore, many people who hate Zhen Yuanzi secretly call him Old Turtle. Indeed, the turtle shell is too thick. Seeing the khaki covering that suddenly appeared in front of him, Kunpeng gritted his teeth and bumped into it. Boom! Amidst the deafening explosion, it seemed like a huge firework exploded. Endless earth element spiritual energy flies in all directions. The book on the ground and its protective shield trembled violently, but they were not broken. Su Junming, who was outside the earth book's shield, was also surprised by the defensive power of this treasure. The underworld death flag is also much worse than it. Kunpeng was so dizzy from the collision that when he came back to his senses and prepared to try again, Zhen Yuanzi had already caught up with him. As he waved the jade pole in his hand, a phantom of a continent with mountains and seas adjacent to each other, and giant trees growing in the middle, appeared in mid-air. Although it was just a phantom, there was an unimaginable pressure that filled the air. The moment they saw it, the spectators instantly understood. This phantom of mountains and seas is actually the prehistoric continent. The combination of earth and wood is the way of the earth. No wonder Zhen Yuanzi is called the ancestor of the earth immortal Su Junming sighed. Sensing the extraordinary power of this blow, Kunpeng did not dare to neglect it and silently urged him. A dragon horse and a black turtle flew out of the body, quickly expanded after reaching the top of the head, and quickly coiled together, transforming into a magnificent formation in the blink of an eye. This large formation has 2 formation eyes and 365 formation bases. Powerful and domineering. The Jotien Starry Formation. Countless spectators instantly understood its identity. The ancient continent fell, and a large formation like a starry sky came up to meet it. The two sides are getting closer and closer. Sudden. Vast white light flew in all directions, even suppressing the sun in the sky. At this moment, time seemed to slow down. Everything seemed to be frozen. A tense feeling of suffocation lingers in everyone's heart. After an unknown amount of time, the light dissipated. A ring-shaped shockwave flew in all directions. Wherever it passes, the space is broken, and all tangible and qualitative things are destroyed. Finally, there was the deafening rolling thunder, like the anger of the gods. Calm down the churning blood in your heart. Kunpeng looked at Zhen Yuanzi, whose eyes were red with blood, and felt furious. This is really a monster sitting at home, and disaster comes from the sky. He never imagined that he would not escape the catastrophe despite living in seclusion. Zhen Yuanzi, I am willing to help you resurrect Hong Yun, how about you and I give up? Impossible. Zhen Yuanzi waved his jade pole here. The phantom of the ancient earth appeared again between heaven and earth, and this time a spiritual light flew down from the earth book, and the phantom of the ancient earth became more powerful. Unprecedented gravity enveloped Kunpeng tightly. Coupled with the blockade of the earth book, he couldn't even escape. "You crazy person!" Kunpeng cursed angrily and quickly urged Hichu Luoshu to set up a star formation next week to resist Zhen Yuanzi. The scene I saw before appeared again. And the movement was bigger this time. With a muffled groan, Kunpeng received some minor injuries from the powerful counter-shock force. Ni Shui recognized it with a mouthful. He quickly shook his body and put away Kunpeng's body. With the seal of the Book of the Earth, he couldn't escape at all. It would be too passive to remain in Kunpeng's body. Just as he was about to counter-attack, Zhen Yuanzi took action again. It was still the same move, but after the shadow of the ancient land appeared, a majestic giant tree with lush branches flew up from Zhen Yuanzi Beihui and landed on it. Both sides merge. The shadow of the ancient land solidified several times in an instant. The vast weight is even more astonishing. Seeing this scene, everyone watching the battle was surprised. Even the taking saint of Gujing Bubo was moved by it. It seems that Zhen Yuanzi is determined to kill Kunpeng, and even the ginseng fruit tree that he cherishes as his own life is brought out against the enemy. Zunti was a little hesitant. Should he save Patriarch Kunpeng? If he takes action, Kunpeng will also join the Western religion in order to repay his karma. But doing so would undoubtedly offend Zhen Yuanzi. Especially the other party is someone who knows the way forward and has a high chance of becoming a Hunyuan golden immortal in the future. Junior brother. When Zunti turned around to look, Jian shook his head. No need to do anything. Senior brother, this is a rare opportunity to strengthen our Western section with Kunpeng's qualifications and our help. He will definitely become a Hunyuan golden immortal in the future. By then we will no longer have to worry about Sanking. Speaking of Sanking, Zunti gritted his teeth. How many times had I been driven out of the eastern wasteland by these three brothers, and even the treasures I had obtained were taken away. According to the Shangqing Taoist, not a single plant or tree in the eastern wasteland has anything to do with Western religion. Simply unworthy of a son of man. Therefore, what Zunti dreams of is to win over a third leader for the Western religion. 3 against 3, you won't be at a disadvantage. Originally, he wanted to win over Ancestor Ming He, but he never expected that the little-known true lord of Chongshan, Su Junming, would actually pretend to be a pig and eat the tiger. The strength is so strong that even he is no match. I didn't get any benefits, and I even got into trouble. This time he fell in love with Kunpeng, who was no less than Styx. I know, but at the end of the Middle Ages, immeasurable calamities are coming, and that's when our Western religion will flourish. Daxing. Zunti's eyes lit up instantly. If Western religion stops in the remote Western wilderness, it will definitely not flourish. Only when it is introduced into the densely populated Eastern wilderness and shares the fate of the human race can it be considered a great prosperity. And Donghuang is the territory of Sanking. The great rise of Western religion means that there are problems in Sanking. Senior brother, how can we achieve great prosperity? Don't say it, don't say it. Junior brother, just wait patiently. Seeing his senior brother's incomprehensible look, Zunti nodded. In terms of TNG magic, his senior brother's cultivation level is far above him, so the overall situation of the Western sect has always been to lead. After the shocking sacrifice of the ginseng fruit tree, Zhen Yuanzi was not ready to end it. His heart moved, and a spiritual light flew down from the book on the ground. The phantom of the ancient land solidified a little more. Boom down. The star formation around the sky was churning violently, and the powerful counter-shock force followed the connection and invaded Kunpeng's heart. This time he couldn't bear it anymore. Wow, a mouthful of hot blood came out of his mouth. 3 consecutive blows consumed Zhen Yuan's mana. Although he was not injured, he had sweat on his forehead and became short of breath. He took a slight breath, with a resolute look on his face and a resolute look in his eyes. Wave the jade pole again. Shadow of the earth. This is the great magical power he realized after he advanced to Hunyuan. Still sacrifice the ginseng fruit tree to suppress it, and use the earth book to bless it? Boom. Kunpeng looked in pain, blood flowed from his mouth, and Zhen Yuan's face also turned pale. The current state of the two of them is like you give me a slap and I give you a punch. It depends on who can't hold on and falls down first. Zhen Yuanzi pressed it again and again, and the original vigorous vitality of the ginseng fruit tree became less and less, but his eyes remained firm. Kunpeng's 7 orifices were bleeding, and the star formation in the sky composed of Hichu and Luoshi shone with light, looking like it would fall apart at any time. The brutal showdown between an immortal and a demon shocked the entire ancient world of cultivation. Everyone felt Zhen Yuan's determination to avenge his old friend. When the mana and elixir were almost consumed, Zhen Yuanzi felt the condition inside his body and looked at the dim Hichu Luoshu. I thought to myself, it's almost done. In the past tens of thousands of years, he has deduced countless times how to kill the Kunpeng demon master who possesses the Hichu Luoshu. Most of them failed. Only by consuming the opponent's mana to the limit and being unable to activate Hichu Luoshu, and having Yuan to ABI, could I win the final victory.